Chapter 1: The Arrival of Dual Systems. Tang Tian traversed into the realm of cultivation, awakening not one, but two extraordinary systems: the infinite consumption system and the consumption increment system. Thus commenced the tale of a grand figure in the celestial realm. The infinite consumption system has been activated. By expending spiritual jade, one can acquire consumption points. These points may be exchanged for talents, insights, physique, and more. In a dilapidated stone cottage, Tang Tian sat by the window, his expression a mixture of joy and sorrow. The joy stemmed from his unexpected arrival in this world, along with the acquisition of a remarkable system. According to the description of the infinite consumption system, he merely needed to engage in ordinary consumption behaviors to earn corresponding consumption points. These points could then be exchanged for various levels of talent, physique, moments of enlightenment, and other extraordinary treasures. If successful in his exchanges, his path of cultivation would undoubtedly be smooth. However, after searching every inch of his being, he found not even a single coin. Consumption? Without money, how could he indulge? Tang Tian sighed deeply. He had only just integrated his previous memories. This was a world of cultivation, with 9 significant realms: chi refinement, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, God transformation, out-of-body, integration, tribulation passing, and ascension. Each elevation and realm brought about earth-shattering changes in strength. Yet, Tang Tian was merely at the second level of chi refinement, a lowly servant disciple of the Qinghua sect. His talent was so dismal that he could not even activate a single spiritual ring, placing him at the bottom of the servant hierarchy. Tang Tian glanced at the exchange table within the system. A single ring of talent could be exchanged for just 1 consumption point. Yet, acquiring that 1 consumption point required an expenditure of 10,000 low-grade spiritual jade. Where could he possibly procure 10,000 spiritual jade? His monthly allowance was a mere 10 low-grade spiritual jade. After deductions by the overseer, losses to the cunning servant leaders, and theft by local bullies, he was left with nothing. Just yesterday, he had been robbed of all his spiritual jade and beaten senseless, which inadvertently provided the opportunity for his soul to traverse into the current Tang Tian. How could he possibly acquire money? He was not unattractive, yet lacked the contacts of a wealthy benefactor. Tang Tian scratched his head, uncertain of what to do next. Without spiritual jade, this system was little more than an ornament. However, just as he lamented his financial woes, a voice resonated within his mind. The consumption increment system has been successfully bound. When the host possesses sufficient spiritual jade, consumption will not only be sustained, but will increase. Tang Tian was instantly taken aback. What was happening? Another system? He was filled with excitement and hastily began to investigate further. The newly arrived system boasts an exceptionally simple function. As long as you possess an ample amount of spiritual jade, upon completing a transaction, not only will there be no consumption, but it will also yield an increase in the corresponding spiritual jade. Tang Tian could not help but stare in astonishment. With this system in place, his future supply of spiritual jade would essentially be limitless. Moreover, coupled with the infinite consumption system, what an incredible advantage. The amount of consumption points he desired would be at his beck and call. The system harbors those extraordinary items, all available for exchange. Once again, Tang Tian perused the exchange list of the system. First, in terms of talents: first ring talent, 1 consumption point. Second ring talent, 10 consumption points. Third ring talent, 100 consumption points. Son of Heavenly Tao, 10 trillion consumption points. Son of Chaos, 100 trillion consumption points. Next, in terms of physique: first class physique, 1 consumption point. Second class physique, 10 consumption points. Third class physique, 100 consumption points. Innate sacred body Tao fetus, 10 trillion consumption points. Eternal chaos body, 100 trillion consumption points. Furthermore, regarding comprehension: 1 ordinary epiphany, 100 consumption points. 1 primary epiphany, 1,000 consumption points. 1 intermediate epiphany, 10,000 consumption points. 1 chaotic level epiphany, 100 trillion consumption points. In addition, there are cosmic fortunes, primordial cosmic powers, cosmic laws, and other divine artifacts that sound extraordinarily powerful. However, their prices are exceedingly high and not currently within the realm of consideration. At present, the most feasible exchanges are talents, physique, and comprehension. This alone brings Tang Tian immense satisfaction. At the very least, he can clearly envision a bright future ahead. Possessing a system that increases rather than decreases consumption, accumulating sufficient consumption points, is merely a matter of time. After a considerable pause, Tang Tian finally managed to calm his excited heart. Thus, his primary task now was to figure out how to spend money. What a delightful endeavor it was. However, the prerequisite for spending money is, of course, having funds. Currently, he possessed not even a single coin. After some contemplation, Tang Tian rose and approached the bedside, retrieving a small cloth pouch from the crevice of the headboard. Unwrapping the pouch revealed a black-gray ceramic vial. Upon opening the vial, a delightful fragrance wafted forth. This was a bottle of vitality restoration pill. As a handyman disciple of the Qinghua sect, each month, in addition to receiving 10 low-grade spiritual jades, he was also allotted a bottle of ordinary vitality restoration pill for daily cultivation. Each bottle was worth 2 low-grade spiritual jades. Yesterday, the bullies extorted all his spiritual jades, but overlooked this bottle of vitality restoration pill. Yet for Tang Tian, it represented invaluable seed money. Surely, he could sell it for at least 1 low-grade spiritual jade. But where could he sell it? Soon, Tang Tian unearthed a name from his memories, Jin Tang. This was a sanctuary exclusively for cultivators, where numerous disciples of Qin Yu sect procured the necessary elixirs, spiritual artifacts, and other resources for their cultivation. Likewise, they provided appraisal and recycling services for practitioners. This was precisely what he needed. Tang Tian promptly resolved to redeem the Yang Yuan Dan in his possession, activating both systems at once. He had no desire to relive his former existence. In his memories, he was perpetually bullied and toiled endlessly each day. Such a life held no allure whatsoever. After all, he was a transmigrator. He couldn't afford to disgrace himself. With this determination, Tang Tian tucked the Yang Yuan Dan into his bosom and departed the stone hut, heading towards Jin Tang. As he made his way, he remained exceedingly cautious, lacking the inclination to admire the picturesque scenery surrounding him. It was not that he feared his elixir being stolen, but rather that he might inadvertently provoke individuals best left undisturbed. This was a realm of immortals, and he had no intention of meeting an untimely end so soon after his arrival. Fortunately, after approximately half an hour, Tang Tian successfully reached his destination. It was a resplendent pavilion, with the 3 bold characters of Jin Tang prominently displayed above the entrance. Many cultivators were entering and exiting, predominantly disciples of Qin Yu sect. Without hesitation, Tang Tian stepped inside. The 2 cardinal rules of Qin Yu sect were clear. Traitors shall be executed. Those who harm their fellow sect members without cause shall be executed. Chapter 2. The peculiar individual. The interior of Jin Tang was vast, brimming with an array of cultivation resources. Practitioners lingered, engaging in conversation and selecting their coveted treasures. Tang Tian did not tarry long. He approached the counter and sought out a free attendant. As he prepared to initiate a dialogue, a sudden, astonished voice interrupted him. Tang Tian. Startled, Tang Tian turned to see a woman clad in a flowing white robe, her striking features accentuated by silver trims at the cuffs that gleamed brightly. This was the insignia of an inner sect disciple. Who are you? Tang Tian asked, his expression betraying a hint of confusion, as he felt a sense of familiarity with her, yet could not recall where he had encountered her. However, his apparent uncertainty caused her brow to furrow. Tang Tian. Although we have had our differences in the past, there is no need for you to feign ignorance, she remarked coldly. Tang Tian frowned immediately. This woman certainly did not appear benevolent. He began to rummage through his memories until he soon unearthed her visage. Her name was Lin Yu, his childhood sweetheart, with whom he had journeyed to Qin Yu sect. In truth, it was Tang Tian who had forsaken his former life to accompany Lin Yu in joining the sect. Originally, it was believed that no matter the circumstances, they could together lead a joyful life. Unfortunately, reality proved to be merciless. Tang Tian's cultivation talent was so inadequate that he could not even activate a single ring, while Lin Yu was a prodigious genius endowed with 5 rings of talent. Upon her entrance into the sect, Lin Yu quickly ascended to the rank of an outer disciple, whereas Tang Tian was relegated to the lowest tier as a mere handyman. Despite this, their feelings for one another remained strong. Lin Yu cared little for Tang Tian's status. He consistently supported her, selflessly offering all his cultivation resources and taking on multiple jobs, solely to ensure that the one he cherished could advance further on her path of cultivation. At last, after a year, Lin Yu experienced a meteoric rise, successfully passing her assessments to become a highly esteemed inner disciple. However, when Tang Tian joyfully approached her to offer his congratulations, he was met with a message that would forever haunt him. Brother Tian, we are not from the same world and are destined to part ways. Rather than tormenting each other in the future, it is better to end things now. I am progressing. What about you? These words shattered the young man's heart. From that moment on, he became withdrawn, timid, and too frightened to resist the bullying he endured, ultimately leading to his demise. After reflecting on this painful memory, Tang Tian's gaze towards Lin Yu shifted dramatically. The first sword upon reaching land shall strike at the one I once cherished. It was clear she was not of noble character. While he felt little connection to the memories of his past life, he harbored no affection for a woman like Lin Yu. When faced with her inquiry, he pondered briefly before responding. It has been over a year since we last met. I simply did not recognize you. You pursue your own affairs, and I shall attend to mine. He had no desire to be entangled with someone like her. Focusing on earning money was his priority. Regrettably, Lin Yu held a different perspective. Are you still angry with me? She asked. I admit that my words were harsh at the time. However, setting aside the facts, was there not some truth in what I said? Continuing our relationship would have caused immense harm to both of us. Thus, I had to make that choice. Tang Tian scoffed, utterly exasperated. If you aren't even willing to discuss the facts, what is there to talk about? Don't overthink it. I have already forgotten those matters. Just take care of yourself, all right? He replied bluntly. Engaging with a woman like her was the most futile endeavor imaginable. It was likely that even if she committed heinous acts, she would still believe herself blameless. Upon hearing Tang Tian's response, Lin Yu furrowed her brow, seemingly astonished that his reaction differed from her expectations. At that moment, a female companion beside her leaned in. Lin Yu, is this the one who pursued you in the past? The woman scrutinized Tang Tian from head to toe, her disdain evident. He truly is unremarkable yet confident. What makes him think he has the right to pursue you? Exercise caution. Men of such nature harbor myriad thoughts, always scheming to present themselves before you. Perhaps this seemingly chance encounter today is the culmination of his long-standing designs. Her disdain has transformed into outright contempt, a palpable malice enveloping the atmosphere. In the face of this affront from her childhood companion, Lin Yu merely sighed softly and said, Fang Fei, cease your words. I understand all too well. Tang Tian stood at the counter, the words speechless practically emblazoned across his forehead. It is not the abundance of oddities that troubles one, but the clustering of peculiarities that poses a challenge. Truly, venturing out without consulting the almanac has led him to cross paths with these two extraordinary individuals. Engaging in conversation with them felt akin to an affront to his very character. Exhaling deeply, Tang Tian turned to the attendant at Jinyutang. Greetings. I wish to sell some items. The attendant had been watching the spectacle unfold with a bemused smile and inquired, What do you wish to sell? Tang Tian produced the Yangyuan Dan from his arms. However, as soon as it was revealed, a derisive laugh erupted. Good heavens, such rubbish can be sold at Jinyutang? How impoverished must he be? Fang Fei guffawed, mocking him without restraint. Even Lin Yu reverted to her previous demeanor, stating coolly, Tang Tian, if you are in need of Lin Yu, you may speak to me. After all, we are acquainted, and I would not refuse to assist you. Tang Tian could not help but rub his forehead, exclaiming, Must you truly remain silent? I have my affairs to attend to, and you yours. Let us not interfere with one another, shall we? His frustration bubbled forth, even prompting him to utter a bird-like chirp. Though Lin Yu did not comprehend his avian utterance, she discerned his palpable disdain, an unmistakable aversion. With a haughty sniff, she turned her back on him, choosing to ignore him henceforth. Yet Fang Fei continued to regard him with scorn. Tang Tian shook his head, utterly perplexed by the sins of his past that had led him to associate with such individuals. The transaction proceeded. The shop attendant examined the Yangyuan Dan and remarked, The quality of this elixir is quite poor. I can offer you no more than a piece of low-grade Lin Yu. Upon seeing the Yangyuan Dan, his demeanor grew somewhat brusque. Tang Tian paid little heed. He merely wished to acquire the Lin Yu swiftly. Very well, I shall sell it. Before long, he held a piece of low-grade Lin Yu in his grasp. Taking a deep breath, he once again called to the attendant. With this Lin Yu, I wish to repurchase it. The attendant was momentarily taken aback, and even Fang Fei was astonished by Tang Tian's audacious maneuver. Selling, and then repurchasing? What manner of logic is this? The attendant, stunned, retorted, Are you jesting with me? Tang Tian, maintaining a placid expression, replied, I simply wish to buy something. Otherwise, could you assist me in locating an item valued at one piece of Lin Yu? The attendant was left dumbfounded. He had never encountered such an eccentric customer before. He impatiently remarked, We do not possess inferior goods worth a single spirit jade. If you insist on purchasing, I can only offer you half a vial of nourishing pill. With that, he poured out half from the vial of nourishing pill he had just presented. The same nourishing pill, which was typically sold for 1 spirit jade, was now available for merely half a vial. Under normal circumstances, no one would engage in such a transaction. However, Tang Tian displayed a faint smile. Very well. He then placed the spirit jade down and swiftly retrieved the half vial of nourishing pill, as if fearing the attendant might change his mind. This peculiar maneuver elicited a gasp from Fang Fei, who exclaimed, Lin Yu, it appears he is not only a miser, but also somewhat deranged. Not just Fang Fei, but even the attendants of Jinyutang and several other cultivators nearby couldn't help but cast sidelong glances. It was indeed their first encounter with someone so unconventional in commerce. Yet, at this moment, Tang Tian's smile only broadened, for the system's prompt had already echoed in his mind. You have completed a transaction within the normal trading parameters, earning 0. 0.0001 consumption points. You have successfully spent 1 low-grade spirit jade, triggering a consumption refund of 2 low-grade spirit jades. Gazing at the 2 low-grade spirit jades lying serenely in his system space, Tang Tian felt an immense sense of satisfaction. Subsequently, amidst various astonished gazes, he retrieved the 2 spirit jades and placed them upon the counter. Now, I would like an entire vial of nourishing pill. Chapter 3. An eccentric transaction. It was as though he were engaging in a novel pastime. Tang Tian's bizarre consumption behavior instantly attracted the attention of those around him. They observed with keen interest, eager to discern his intentions. However, the attendant of Jinyutang grew increasingly irate. Are you truly toying with me? You could have purchased a full vial but opted for half, only to return for a full one. This can be classified as a provocation. Nonetheless, Tang Tian remained unflustered and replied, "It is merely commerce. If you are unwilling, I shall seek another vendor." The attendant squinted. After all, he was dealing with a customer, and engaging with patrons was his duty. Though he was quite vexed, he nonetheless produced a vial of nourishing pill. The transaction was completed smoothly. 4 low-grade spirit jades subsequently appeared in the system space. Tang Tian extracted them all and placed them back on the counter. 2 vials of nourishing pill. Could you not purchase 3 vials at once? The attendant was exasperated. Who buys items this way? Tang Tian felt somewhat helpless. He too wished to acquire 3 vials. But according to the system's regulations, the prerequisite for spending was possessing sufficient spirit jades. Thus, he could only compel the attendant to make multiple trips. This is troublesome, Tang Tian remarked. The attendant, though frustrated, once again produced 2 vials of nourishing pill, completing the transaction once more. 8 low-grade spirit jades were now in hand. As Tang Tian was preparing to continue his transactions, Fang Fei spoke up again, exclaiming, "I understand now. Your true intention is not merely to trade. You seek to capture our attention through this peculiar approach, don't you? How amusingly novel. However, we are not fools. It is evident to us what you are truly worth. The more you behave this way, the more we shall disdain you." With her arms crossed, she bore an expression of someone who had seen through his motives. Tang Tian retorted, "Must you really take yourself so seriously? Do you genuinely believe the world revolves around you? I am purchasing my items. Your concerns are irrelevant. Please refrain from judging others through your own inferior character." He could no longer bear it, as there are always individuals who assume that the entire world is at their beck and call, performing solely for their amusement. He could not fathom how such a mindset developed. Fang Fei, however, merely chuckled and said, "Keep pretending. I wonder how long you can maintain this charade. What could a mere servant-disciple possibly have in his possession? I am merely waiting for you to slip up." At that moment, Lin Yu glanced over, her expression mirroring Fang Fei's sentiments. Tang Tian, disinterested in further engagement, placed 8 pieces of spirit jade upon the counter. For bottles of nourishing essence pills, he requested. The attendant rolled his eyes, reluctantly retrieving the 4 bottles. The transaction was completed, and 16 pieces of low-grade spirit jade were secured. Tang Tian remained composed, continuing with his purchases. 16 bottles. 32 bottles. Before long, the counter before him was adorned with an ample collection of nourishing essence pills, numbering in the hundreds. And the crowd of onlookers had swelled. The attendant's demeanor gradually shifted as the quantity of pills increased. When Tang Tian announced the figure of 500 bottles, the earlier condescension and impatience had vanished entirely. "This young hero, that is quite a substantial order. The counter is insufficient. I must fetch more from the back," the attendant remarked with newfound courtesy. Tang Tian nodded in agreement. Soon, a large box of nourishing essence pills was brought forth and placed upon the counter. The transaction concluded, and Tang Tian's collection of spirit jade finally exceeded 1,000. Additionally, the system, in its user-friendly design, automatically converted an ample amount of low-grade spirit jade into medium-grade spirit jade. 1 medium-grade spirit jade could be exchanged for 100 pieces of low-grade spirit jade. However, upon surpassing the 1,000 mark, he ceased purchasing nourishing essence pills, recognizing them as merely basic elixirs with limited utility. Furthermore, carrying such a vast quantity would prove cumbersome. With so many spirit jades at his disposal, he could now set his sights on treasures of a higher caliber. Yet, just as he paused, Fang Fei began to mock him again. "Ha! Out of money, are we?" She wore a smug expression and remarked, "I knew it. You merely wish to attract our attention. Continue your act. Why have you stopped?" Men are invariably like this, indulging in the folly of posturing. Tang Tian sighed, finding no inclination to respond. One should never attempt to engage in debate with the base-minded, for they will only drag you down to their moral level, defeating you with their sheer experience. However, Tang Tian's silence did not prevent others from voicing their opinions. Fang Fei's last remark instantly ignited the ire of some onlookers. "Hey, mind your words. Just because you encounter a few foolish individuals, Do not presume that everyone shares their ilk. Do not elevate yourself too highly. Various voices chimed in. Yet, in the face of their reproach, Fang Fei grew even more arrogant, saying, "What? Am I mistaken? He is merely a lowly servant. How fortunate could he be to possess a few hundred spirit stones? Buying a heap of nourishing pills in such a manner is nothing short of deliberate mockery. A bunch of fools." The crowd erupted in indignation. "He buys his own things. What concern is it of yours? Just walk away." They argued. "What of servant disciples? Who says they have no spirit stones? Many scions of great families began as servant disciples. I see this brother possesses such a demeanor." The voices continued to clash. Witnessing the defiance of so many against her views, Fang Fei exclaimed in fury, "What a joke! Which disciple of a prominent family does not carry millions of spirit stones to stoop to being a mere servant? Huh, I dare to wager with you, let alone millions. If he produces even 10,000 spirit stones today, I will kneel and apologize to him." As Fang Fei seemed to lose her composure, Lin Yu hastily tugged at her. But to no avail. However, she too did not believe Tang Tian could present 10,000 spirit stones. She was well aware of his circumstances. And even a few hundred spirit stones had astonished her. The bickering continued, yet Tang Tian had no desire to partake. After some contemplation, he requested a list of goods from the attendant. The list was replete with various resources and treasures essential for cultivators. After a brief glance, he selected the items he wished to procure. A low-grade longsword was priced at 1,000 spirit stones. The notion of acquiring a spiritual weapon was something Tang Tian once dared not even contemplate. Yet now, it was well within his reach. "This one," he stated. The attendant looked on, utterly astonished. Just moments ago, he was purchasing the most basic nourishing pills, and now he had suddenly turned his attention to high-grade items? The attendant could not fathom Tang Tian's intentions. Soon, the long sword was placed upon the counter. When Tang Tian produced 10 medium-grade spirit stones in one go, someone burst into laughter. "Huh, hey, weren't you the one who said he was out of money? Prepare to kneel. I sense this individual is far from ordinary." Fang Fei pressed her lips together, pondering the fact that 1,000 spirit gems constituted her salary for 2 months. Could this insufferable servant truly possess 10,000 spirit gems? A flicker of anxiety coursed through her, yet she resolved to maintain her composure in conversation. "It is merely 1,000. Just wait and see." Chapter 4. Impulsive retribution. Within the wooden sword case lay a remarkably exquisite longsword, resting in serene stillness. "You may give it a try, should you wish to test its worth." The attendant beamed, his demeanor transformed from before. However, Tang Tian had no intention of testing the sword. Instead, he perused the list of merchandise once more, this time focusing on the elixirs. Premium Qi Cultivation Pill, 100 Spirit Gems per vial. Premium Body Refinement Pill, 100 Spirit Gems per vial. Premium Qi Refinement Pill, 200 Spirit Gems per vial. Premium Foundation Establishment Pill, 1,000 Spirit Gems per vial. These were the essential elixirs for cultivation during the Qi refinement stage. The realm of cultivation reveres strength above all, although armed with dual systems. Promising boundless spirit gems and unparalleled talent, such advantages did not directly translate into combat prowess. Tang Tian knew he must prepare diligently for his future cultivation endeavors. 20 vials of premium Qi cultivation pills, Tang Tian declared. "Absolutely." The attendant responded enthusiastically, quickly retrieving the elixirs and placing them before Tang Tian. The transaction proceeded smoothly, and his spirit gem balance reached 4,000. "Next, I require 40 vials of premium body refinement pills," Tang Tian continued nonchalantly, parting with 4,000 spirit gems without a hint of regret on his countenance. Fang Fei's anxiety intensified. Could it be that this fellow genuinely possessed 10,000 spirit gems? In the world of cultivators, wagers were not to be taken lightly. Should she truly lose, she would be forced to kneel and apologize to Tang Tian. How could she possibly accept such a fate? Clenching her fists, she fervently hoped that Tang Tian's purse was already empty. Yet, reality was not in her favor. "I'll take 40 vials of premium Qi cultivation pills, along with 20 vials of premium Qi refinement pills," Tang Tian stated calmly. "Very well." The attendant promptly dashed to the back room, as such precious elixirs were scarcely displayed at the counter. Moments later, the premium Qi refinement pills were in hand, and the transaction was complete. "Haha, my brother is impressive." Witnessing Tang Tian produce 80 medium spirit gems in one go, the crowd erupted in laughter, turning their scorn towards Fang Fei. "Are you stunned? He truly possesses wealth. 8,000 spirit gems, plus what he had previously, already adds up to 10,000. Go on. Kneel and apologize." They scoffed at Fang Fei. At this moment, Fang Fei was utterly flustered, unable to comprehend how a mere servant like Tang Tian could amass such considerable wealth, rivaling that of an inner sect disciple. Lin Yu, too, wore a bewildered expression, pondering where he had acquired such an abundance of spirit gems. Let us fulfill the wager. A group of young disciples, all belonging to the inner sect, continued to press forward. Fang Fei's complexion turned pale as she involuntarily stepped back, seeking an opportunity to escape, only to find her retreat blocked by others. How can you do this? I am merely a frail woman. One inner sect disciple stepped forward with a cold smile. You are hardly a frail woman. Just moments ago, you managed to contend with a multitude using nothing but your tongue. Now, when faced with the consequences, you suddenly become a weak woman. This is not the custom of the cultivation world. Fulfill the wager. The onlookers echoed, urging her on. What choice did she have? After all, Fang Fei had carelessly offended nearly every male cultivator present with her reckless words. Under the pressure of the crowd, Fang Fei's lips turned white. She simply could not bear the thought of kneeling before a mere servant. Yet, how could a servant possess a fortune of 10,000 spirit jade? Though it was to be drawn out in increments, it still amounted to 10,000. Incrementally, yes. He is drawing it out incrementally. I have not lost. Fang Fei suddenly cried out, seizing upon what she believed was a lifeline. The crowd exchanged glances, questioning if that was indeed the case. Wasn't it stated that as long as he could produce it, it would suffice? However, if Fang Fei remained resolute in her claim, they could not persist in their coercion, lest it become outright bullying. After a moment, the crowd's gaze shifted to Tang Tian, seemingly inquiring, Brother, shall we continue? Tang Tian wore a faint smile. With the atmosphere charged as it was, how could one not press on? After purchasing the qi refining pills, his fortune had swelled to 16,000. A mere 10,000 was trivial. Just as he prepared to continue, Lin Yu stepped forward. Tang Tian, let it go, she said softly. She acted out of impulse. She does not deserve to bear such a burden. For my sake, please do not pursue this further. We can remain friends. Tang Tian turned to her, his gaze steady and devoid of emotion. First, impulse is no excuse for wrongdoing. If one indulges in their impulses, they must be prepared to face the consequences. Second, you hold no influence over me. Lastly, I have no interest in maintaining a friendship with you. That is all. With that, Tang Tian disregarded Lin Yu entirely, producing a piece of high-grade spirit jade and stating casually, 10 bottles of high-grade foundation establishment pills. Splendid. This action immediately sparked a chorus of cheers. Huh, are you dumbfounded? Let us see what excuse you have this time. Fulfill the wager, or we shall not be so courteous. Huh. Even the enforcement hall would utter no words about such matters. The pressure of coercion bore down on Fang Fei once more. She collapsed onto the ground, utterly bereft of excuses this time. Tears of regret and resentment streamed down her face. Yet in the realm of cultivation, tears hold little value. Merely serving to appease the naive youths who have just entered this world, those present were not swayed by her display. Ultimately, under the collective condemnation, Fang Fei knelt beside Tang Tian, her head lowered, murmuring in a barely audible voice, I am sorry, I should not have spoken to you that way. Tang Tian shook his head. False accusations cannot harm me. The apologies you owe are not to me, but to everyone here. Fang Fei offered no reply. She seemed to have resigned herself to her fate, shifting her position to kneel before others and bowing her head in apology. I'm sorry. Having uttered those words, she rose abruptly, forcefully pushing through the crowd and swiftly departing from the Golden Jade Hall. Even Lin Yu's attempts to stop her were in vain. Observing the still calm demeanor of Tang Tian, Lin Yu's expression became exceedingly complex as she remarked, I have underestimated you. But remember, spirit jade does not equate to everything. Only strength is paramount. Without sufficient talent for cultivation, you shall forever remain at the bottom. Meanwhile, I will soon be eligible for the selection of core disciples. This is the gap, and my choices will never be wrong. Tang Tian shrugged. You are absolutely right. But don't you think it might be more prudent to concern yourself with your friend? Lin Yu inhaled deeply. Every one of Tang Tian's reactions today had far surpassed her expectations, as if he were an entirely different person. Take care of yourself, she ultimately said, turning away. Once she departed, the atmosphere returned to its usual state. Haha, brother, well done. I've long found certain individuals intolerable, as if everyone must cater to them. Today has certainly vented some frustrations. However, these are merely exceptions. Most are still decent folk. I know, it's just that they were too exuberant, which is off-putting. The crowd engaged in idle chatter before gradually returning to their own affairs. For genuine cultivators, this was merely a trivial episode in life. However, Tang Tian keenly noted that some malevolent gazes had begun to settle upon him. He stroked his chin. It seems I must devise a plan to ensure my safe return home. Chapter 5. The Fear of Purchase After a While. 10 bottles of superior foundational elixirs were placed before Tang Tian. These are essential aid elixirs for ordinary cultivators striving to break through to the foundational stage. Unless one possesses a talent of 6 rings or higher, They cannot ascend realms without the reliance on elixirs. Tang Tian held no particular fixation on the manner of his breakthrough. His primary motive for acquiring the foundational elixirs was simply for consumption, to accumulate consumption points. After making the purchase, he successfully acquired 2 consumer points. However, he would not cease his endeavors there. "Dear guest, do you wish to continue?" The attendant wore a broad smile. Tang Tian's current expenditure clearly marked him as a valued customer, much to the attendant's delight, as larger transactions would yield greater commissions. Observing the attendant's eager expression, Tang Tian chuckled. "Certainly, I have yet to achieve my objective. However, the forthcoming transactions will likely involve larger sums, so you must prepare accordingly." The attendant's smile widened as he responded, "Rest assured, it shall be no trouble at all. If you have any reservations, I can fetch our manager. His authority far surpasses mine. Introducing esteemed clients also comes with a commission." Tang Tian pondered for a moment before nodding. "That would be appreciated." The attendant promptly retreated into the back room. Moments later, a middle-aged man clad in a purple robe entered alongside the attendant. "Greetings, fellow cultivator." The middle-aged man smiled warmly at Tang Tian, exhibiting no airs despite the disparity in strength and age. "I am Qin Hai, the manager of Jin Yutang. I have heard from Xiao Yin that some unpleasantness occurred here earlier. I apologize on behalf of Jin Yutang for our mismanagement." Tang Tian waved his hand dismissively. "It is of no concern. It does not pertain to you. Let us focus on the transaction." Qin Hai nodded, smiling. "You are quite straightforward, my friend." He then invited, "Shall we discuss matters in the back room? I have prepared some tea. It is quieter there." After a moment's consideration, Tang Tian agreed. Shortly thereafter, the two entered a private chamber in the back of Jin Yutang, where Qin Hai poured steaming tea, its fragrant aroma wafting through the air. "Do try this. It is our specially crafted Lingxin tea." Tang Tian nodded, lifting the cup, yet he did not indulge. Qin Hai chuckled lightly. "I hear from Xiao Yin that your shopping methods are rather unique." Tang Tian set the cup down. "It is merely my personal habit. Let us get to the heart of the matter." With that, he resumed examining the product list. Jin Yutang is a comprehensive trading association, encompassing nearly every aspect of the cultivation world, offering an extensive array of items, elixirs, spiritual artifacts, techniques, talismans, and rare treasures, among others. However, the quality of all treasures tends to be on the lower side. The elixirs are categorized from 1 to 9 ranks, each rank further divided into inferior, average, superior, and exceptional grades. The most prestigious item here is a bottle of 3rd-grade superior Yun Soul elixir, priced at 100,000 spirit jade. The levels of spiritual artifacts and techniques are classified into 5 ranks: heaven, earth, profound, yellow, and mundane, also with inferior, average, superior, and exceptional grades. The most valuable spiritual artifact here is an exceptional mundane heart-guarding mirror, possessing remarkable defensive capabilities, priced at 120,000 spirit jade. The most precious technique is an exquisite sword art of mortal grade, priced at 150,000 spirit jade. As for other rare materials, their prices are fairly similar. "Are there no higher grade items?" Tang Tian inquired. Qin Hai paused for a moment and then replied, "There are, but their quantities are scarce, and I must seek permission first. After all, this branch primarily serves the majority of ordinary cultivators. Should I consult our leader?" Tang Tian pondered briefly and shook his head, saying, "Never mind, let us leave it at that for now. As a newcomer, it's best not to draw too much attention from above. I have quite a diverse array of items in mind, and it may require you to make several trips. Additionally, I prefer to trade one by one, and I hope you can understand." Tang Tian said this to prepare him mentally. Qin Hai was unperturbed, smiling as he responded, "Everything will be conducted according to your preferences." Soon, a grand transaction commenced. Top-grade bone-strengthening pills, 500 each. I'll take 40 bottles. Second-tier explosive talismans, only 200 each. Let us have 200 to play with. Third-tier purple fruit, 1,000 for each. I'd like 8 to sample. This flying sword is quite nice. Immortal grade at just 50,000. I'll take it. In no time, Tang Tian's savings had surpassed 1 million. Now, he could finally engage in bulk transactions, setting his sights on the most coveted treasures. The spirit-nourishing elixirs, priced at 100,000, are capable of nurturing the soul and enhancing spiritual power. I'll take all 5 bottles. The diamond heart mirror at 120,000. And the wind-cutting sword art at 150,000. I'll purchase them all in one go. As the transactions progressed, the previously composed Qin Hai began to feel increasingly restless. Who is this affluent young master? I have seen extravagance, but never to this extent. Others at least buy things they like or find useful. This one, he seems to purchase everything in sight. He doesn't even inquire about their functionality or whether they serve any purpose for him, as if he relies solely on instinct. Is your wealth conjured from thin air? As Tang Tian continued to indulge, Piling various items upon the table, Qin Hai hastily intervened. Young master, I believe that should suffice. Qin Hai said with difficulty. Tang Tian replied, puzzled. What? Are we not conducting business anymore? Qin Hai wiped the cold sweat from his brow, explaining, of course not. However, I am merely a steward, and the amount I can authorize is limited. Beyond 1 million, I must report to our leader. Moreover, the stock listed is dwindling. Tang Tian was momentarily taken aback. Is the spender afraid of spending, while the earner is afraid of earning? What kind of logic is that? He glanced at the system. The spirit jade had surpassed 10 million, and his consumption points had exceeded 900. Upon glancing at the merchandise list, Tang Tian noted that all the precious items had been purchased, leaving only those that collectively amounted to merely over 10 million. However, he reasoned that it was merely a branch catering to ordinary cultivators, thus high expectations were unwarranted. Moreover, this was his inaugural expenditure, so discretion was advisable. Very well. I shall procure these items, Tang Tian declared. Subsequently, he gazed upon the vast array of cultivation resources he had acquired, and a wave of anxiety washed over him. In his eagerness to spend, he had entirely overlooked the fact that he could not possibly transport all these items back. After a moment's contemplation, Tang Tian turned to Qin Hai. Do you possess any treasures suitable for storage? Chapter 6, Renowned Disciple Ultimately. Tang Tian acquired a compact Shumi ring from Qin Hai for 300,000 spirit jade. Although its capacity was limited, it sufficed to contain all his belongings. To his astonishment, their private transaction was acknowledged by both systems. His wallet swelled by 300,000, and he also gained 30 consumption points. Is private trading permissible? Tang Tian mused, eyeing a teacup valued at approximately 10 spirit jade and promptly offering 1 million. However, the system immediately issued a warning, stating that such a transaction exceeded the normal parameters, thereby disqualifying it from earning consumption points or triggering any rebates. Regrettably, it seemed he could no longer exploit the system's loopholes. Clearly, expenditures must remain within acceptable bounds. Once all transactions were completed, Qin Hai beamed with delight, serving cup after cup of fragrant tea to Tang Tian, almost as if he wished to feed him. The nearly 10 million transaction total would undoubtedly yield him a handsome profit. To be honest, I did not find today's expenditures particularly satisfying. Tang Tian remarked with a hint of displeasure. Your establishment is rather small, lacking in intriguing treasures. I am quite disappointed. Qin Hai blinked in surprise before awkwardly replying. Young Master Tang, you may not be aware that the Qingyue sect is relatively new, and our Jinyu Tang branch was only established a little over a decade ago. Those formidable cultivators with advanced skills have their own trading channels and disdain our offerings. Thus, we are confined to catering to the most ordinary cultivators. And our merchandise reflects that. Tang Tian nodded, then regarded Qin Hai with a playful glint in his eye, leisurely stating, So, what you imply is that if I desire to purchase high-grade treasures, I must seek alternative trading avenues. He deliberately emphasized the phrase alternative trading. Qin Hai, being astute, promptly grasped Tang Tian's insinuation and hastily flattered, it is indeed possible to seek other avenues. However, if young Master Tang does not mind, I would be more than willing to serve as your exclusive trading channel. Tang Tian smirked. Can you procure quality goods? Qin Hai replied, previously, it was rather challenging. Thanks to the esteemed young Master Tang, the amount you have spent today has sufficiently elevated my standing within the Golden Jade Hall. Should you voice any desires, I shall exert every effort to fulfill them. A faint smile graced Tang Tian's lips. The words he had just uttered were, in truth, intended for this very purpose. As the quantity of spiritual jade in his wallet swelled, his appetite for consumption would inevitably intensify, necessitating a reliable conduit for such transactions. Being new to this realm and devoid of acquaintances, where could he find suitable channels for trade? Qin Hai appeared to be a commendable choice. Moreover, their relationship was one of mutual benefit, suggesting that no significant issues would arise in the near future. At the very least, it would satisfy his initial needs. Thus, he decided to proceed. Tang Tian remarked, I have no particular demands. Anything will suffice. However, one stipulation remains. The more expensive, the better. Furthermore, I prefer that my identity remains concealed from the majority. I trust you comprehend my meaning. Qin Hai nodded vigorously. The act of concealing one's identity is exceedingly common in the cultivation world, and he understood what was required of him. Filled with excitement, Qin Hai could not suppress his curiosity. What manner of individual is this young master? Purchasing only the extravagant, rather than the appropriate. Such a legendary figure had truly manifested before him. Just how wealthy could he be? Qin Hai pondered this in vain, yet his spirits soared. Should he manage to align himself closely with Tang Tian, his own standing within the Golden Jade Hall would undoubtedly ascend. With their verbal agreement reached, the two exchanged communication jade tokens. Once Qin Hai procured the goods, Tang Tian would arrange a meeting place. Exercising caution is always prudent. After some further idle conversation, Tang Tian indicated his intention to depart. With over 900 consumption points, he could exchange them for some commendable items. However, just as he was about to leave, a thought struck him. Earlier, while spending over 20,000 spiritual jades in the main hall, he had distinctly felt several malevolent gazes fixed upon him. This is the cultivation world, where murder and theft are all too commonplace. Tang Tian was not particularly concerned about his resources being seized. Rather, he feared that someone might conspire to entrap him. Contemplating this, he inquired of Qin Hai, "Do you know where one might find reliable bodyguards? You must understand. As a Qi refinement stage cultivator carrying a fortune, I am a tempting target for those of nefarious intent." Qin Hai was momentarily taken aback, stating, "But you must have someone backing you." He did not believe that a young master like Tang Tian, who squandered wealth without a second thought, would lack guardians or mentors hidden in the shadows. Thus, he instinctively posed this question. However, Tang Tian did not respond. Instead, he reined in his smile and gazed at him with a stoic expression. Only when Qin Hai began to sweat did Tang Tian finally utter, "Individuals like yourself should know which inquiries are appropriate and which are not." Qin Hai quickly replied, "I apologize for my abruptness, and I hope that Master Tang will not hold it against me." In truth, individuals like him were well aware that certain matters within the realm of cultivation should never be casually inquired about. Otherwise, the consequences could be dire. Seeing that Tang Tian did not truly harbor any resentment, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, unbeknownst to Qin Hai, Tang Tian too was slightly relieved, grateful that he had managed to intimidate him. Reliable guardians were indeed hard to come by. "I can arrange for someone to escort you safely back to your residence. This is a standard practice of our Jinyu Tang," Qin Hai stated. Tang Tian furrowed his brow slightly. "Is it merely returning to my residence? I cannot be certain of safety even within the Qinghua sect. Is it not possible to hire someone?" "The price is not an issue," he remarked. Qin Hai chuckled wryly, saying, "As a disciple of the Qinghua sect, we cannot casually assign guardians to you. However, given your financial resources, you should be able to resolve this matter yourself." Tang Tian paused in surprise. "What do you mean?" Qin Hai explained, "Are you not aware? Within the Qinghua sect, there exists a special status known as an honorary disciple, which can be attained with a fee of spiritual jade. A junior honorary disciple holds a rank equivalent to that of an outer sect disciple and can hire outer sect disciples as attendants for a mere 500,000 spiritual jade. A middle honorary disciple is equivalent to an inner sect disciple and may employ disciples below the inner sect rank as attendants, costing the same amount. A senior honorary disciple holds a status akin to a core disciple and can hire core-level attendants for 5 million spiritual jade. Moreover, all honorary disciples are protected by the sect, with the strength of protection increasing alongside the rank. The regulations of the Qinghua sect are also extremely strict. Even if you display wealth within the sect, no one would dare entertain covetous thoughts, lest they face dire consequences. Thus, if you could attain the status of a senior honorary disciple, as long as you remain within the sect, you need not worry about safety at all." Tang Tian listened, astonished. Was this not akin to purchasing a position? Such regulations existed. With fixed prices, were they not concerned about other forces infiltrating their ranks? He found it difficult to comprehend the Qinghua sect's operations. Perhaps there were reasons unknown to him. Nevertheless, Qin Hai's assertions were indeed accurate. With his current financial standing, he could indeed ensure his own safety. Until he possessed sufficient strength, it would be best to remain within the Qinghua sect. That truly resonates with me, Tang Tian remarked with a smile. Chapter 7. The astonished elder. With the issue of safety resolved, the two began to discuss other matters, such as scheduling the next transaction for half a month hence. At that time, Qin Hai would bring some precious treasures of yellow grade or above as a litmus test for establishing a long-term trading channel. Tang Tian was in no rush. Stability was paramount. After their discussions, he departed from Jinyu Tang, laden with an array of ordinary resources. As soon as he stepped out of the door, a palpable sense of malevolence enveloped him, manifested in the form of several piercing gazes. However, upon the appearance of two middle-aged men clad in gray robes behind Tang Tian, all attention seemed to dissipate. These were Yuanian cultivators, specifically dispatched by Qin Hai to escort Tang Tian home. The Jinyu Tang was located at the foot of the Qinghua mountain, and it wasn't long before Tang Tian returned safely, allowing him to exhale in relief. Upon his return to the Qinghua sect, he did not hasten to his modest stone abode but instead ascended towards an imposing edifice, the Merit Hall. This place was one of the most bustling areas for disciples of the Qinghua sect, where various sect missions and events were routinely issued. The honorary disciples mentioned by Qin Hai were also registered here. After bidding farewell to the two Yuanian cultivators, Tang Tian stepped into the Merit Hall, where he was immediately awestruck. The interior was far more expansive than it appeared from the outside, likely enhanced by spatial formations. The ceiling soared high above, adorned with a radiant galaxy, resembling a vast open plaza. Within this grand structure, there were additional buildings corresponding to various sect affairs. A multitude of Qingyue disciples traversed the hall, their numbers easily exceeding tens of thousands. Although the Qingyue sect had recently been established, it was certainly not a minor sect. Both the sect leader and the elders possessed formidable powers beyond the tribulation stage. Moreover, according to Qin Hai, there seemed to be even more powerful entities above the Qingyue sect. Such a large sect, with a disciple count surpassing 1 million, wielded influence that spanned countless miles, an existence beyond the comprehension of a mere servant disciple like Tang Tian. After taking a moment to compose himself, he began to seek out his destination for the day. Ultimately, he located a magnificent loft positioned toward the center, the honorary hall. Upon entering the honorary hall, he was greeted by a starkly different ambience from the outside. Golden light radiated throughout, with both the decorative fixtures and ordinary furniture exuding an air of opulence, perhaps bordering on ostentation. Tang Tian, being a man of simple tastes, found himself drawn to this extravagance. Inside the hall, 10 elegant private rooms were designated for the elders responsible for matters concerning honorary disciples. Several of these rooms were already occupied. After a brief survey, Tang Tian chose to approach an elder who appeared particularly affable, stepping inside with purpose. Disciple Tang Tian pays his respects to the elder, he stated, bowing respectfully. The authority of the sect elders was not something to be trifled with, a fact Tang Tian was keenly aware of. The elder, named Zhongyang, glanced up upon hearing his voice. A minor servant? He raised an eyebrow slightly before producing a luminous jade stone, examining it with a flicker of surprise in his eyes. You've been with the sect for over 2 years now. What brings you to the honorary hall today? Zhongyang inquired. Tang Tian glanced at the jade stone in his hand, pondering whether it might be some sort of informational booklet. Shortly thereafter, he swiftly averted his gaze and respectfully addressed. Esteemed Elder Zhong, I have come today to seek a position as an honorary disciple. Zhongyang's expression momentarily registered surprise as he replied. The cost of becoming an honorary disciple is not insignificant. Have you recently experienced a windfall? Tang Tian chose not to respond to this inquiry, observing his silence. Zhongyang chuckled. There is no need for caution. I merely asked out of curiosity. Each individual possesses their own unique opportunities, and the sect will not delve deeply into such matters. Simply adhere to the established protocols. Please, have a seat. A soft chair materialized beside Tang Tian, and he cupped his hands in gratitude before taking a seat. What type of honorary disciple do you wish to become? Zhongyang inquired. After a moment of contemplation, Tang Tian replied, I am not entirely familiar with the rights, duties, or considerations associated with honorary disciples. Might I trouble Elder Zhong to clarify these matters for me? Zhongyang nodded. Very well, allow me to elucidate. There are 3 tiers of honorary disciples: primary, intermediate, and advanced. Each level has a different cost and corresponding privileges. As a primary honorary disciple, your rights and status will be equivalent to that of an outer sect disciple. You will have access to the same places as they do, and the same restrictions will apply. The cost is 50,000 spirit jade, along with a monthly fee of 1,000 spirit jade. Failure to pay this fee will result in the loss of your honorary status. Additionally, you may employ outer sect disciples as bodyguards through me, but you must adhere to the bodyguard code and refrain from allowing them to engage in excessive actions. Otherwise, your honorary status may be rescinded. The employment fee ranges from 100 to 1,000, varying according to the disciple's strength and capabilities. As for intermediate honorary disciples, the rights and status remain the same, but the cost is 500,000 spirit jade, with a monthly fee of 10,000. You may employ inter-sect disciples or those of lesser rank, with employment fees ranging from 1,000 to 10,000. For advanced honorary disciples, the conditions are similar, with a price of 5 million spirit jade and a monthly fee of 100,000. You may hire core disciples or those below that rank, with employment fees ranging from 10,000 to 100,000. Regarding considerations, they are akin to the regulations for ordinary disciples. At the appropriate time, I will provide you with a manual detailing the rules for honorary disciples for your review. Tang Tian nodded, silently processing this information. The overall situation aligned closely with what Qin Hai had described. However, he had not anticipated the additional monthly expenditure required to maintain his status. Was this not akin to a VIP membership? He found it quite agreeable, exceedingly accommodating. As long as issues could be resolved with spirit jade, they posed no challenge for him. Should he successfully trigger a return on investment, it would be even less of a concern. The ability to employ other disciples also greatly pleased him. The outer sect disciples of Qingyue sect were practitioners at the 3rd level of Qi refinement or above, while the inner sect disciples had passed the inner sect assessment and were at the foundation establishment stage. Core disciples were those under the age of 20 who had achieved the golden core stage or higher. Having a golden core stage bodyguard would certainly suffice to resolve those bothersome, trivial matters. What do you think? Have you made up your mind? Zhongyang inquired. Tang Tian replied with a slight nod, then exhaled deeply and stated, Elder, I wish to purchase the status of a senior honorary disciple. Indeed. His response instantly evoked surprise from Zhongyang. Are you certain? This will cost 5 million. Tang Tian affirmed with a nod. After observing him for a moment, Zhongyang chuckled. It seems one should never underestimate anyone. Very well, please provide the payment, and I shall handle the necessary arrangements. The fee is 5 million. And the first month is complimentary, no additional charges required. Tang Tian promptly stepped forward, retrieving 5 pieces of exquisite spirit jade and placing them before Zhongyang. After examining them, Zhongyang accepted all the spirit jade and then produced a luminous stone, manipulating it briefly before presenting Tang Tian with a box. Done, Zhongyang declared. From this moment forth, you are an esteemed senior honorary disciple of our Qinghua sect. Inside this box are the garments of the honorary disciple, along with some regulations for your perusal. Remember to pay your renewal fees punctually each month. Tang Tian expressed his gratitude and accepted the box. Simultaneously, 2 system notifications echoed in his mind, indicating that such a transaction was indeed sanctioned by the system. Elder Zhong, I may be quite occupied on a regular basis. May I pay the renewal fees in advance? Tang Tian inquired. Zhongyang smiled faintly. Of course, how far in advance do you wish to pay? Tang Tian silently extended a finger. 10,000 years. What? Zhongyang's eyes widened in astonishment, nearly toppling his teacup. 10,000 years, paid in installments. Tang Tian clarified earnestly. Zhongyang stared at him, speechless. A year, 10 years, even 100 years, he could comprehend. But 10,000 years was utterly beyond his understanding. Can you possibly live that long? If you can, does the status of a core disciple even matter? This is not something that can be inherited. After a prolonged silence, he finally managed to utter, Young man, are you sure your mental faculties are intact? I understand you've recently come into some wealth, but the affluent do not spend money in such a manner. Tang Tian felt a twinge of embarrassment. He merely wished to acquire more consumption points. However, before he could explain, Zhongyang waved his hand to interrupt. Forget it, 10,000 years is out of the question. The maximum duration for honorary disciple status is only 10 years, as per Qinghua sect's regulations. Tang Tian was taken aback. It seemed he could not indulge in such an extravagant ambition. I was indeed reckless, he admitted. Then I shall extend it for 10 years. Subsequently, he produced 12 pieces of exquisite spirit jade and placed them on the table. Zhongyang shook his head, accepted the spirit jade, and then began to operate on the luminous stone once more. Once the operation was completed, the system's notification resonated in Tang Tian's mind. This was still recognized by the system as a legitimate expenditure. After finalizing the procedures, Tang Tian spoke again. Elder Zhong, I would like to employ a few guards. Zhongyang immediately rolled his eyes. Could you not present all your requests at once? Tang Tian let out a wry smile. His primary concern was that this expenditure might not be acknowledged by the system, thereby failing to trigger a refund. What level of disciples do you require, and how many? Zhongyang inquired. After a moment of contemplation, Tang Tian concluded that he certainly desired the highest tier of core disciples, with strength being of utmost importance. As for the quantity, after pondering, he resolved to temporarily hire just one. After all, the more people involved, the greater the potential for complications. I wish to hire one core disciple with a monthly salary of 100,000, Tang Tian stated. Zhongyang nodded. The minimum hiring period is 1 month, and the maximum is 1 year. We will select a willing core disciple for you, whose strength is at the golden core stage, but not lower than the latter phase of the golden core. Tang Tian was silent, realizing that he would not be selecting the guard himself, but rather that the sect would assign one. This was likely to prevent any collusion among the guards. However, this meant he might not secure a satisfactory protector. After some thought, Tang Tian produced a piece of top-grade spirit jade and 20 pieces of superior-grade spirit jade. I will hire for 1 year, he affirmed. Subsequently, he retrieved an exquisite small box and placed it before Zhongyang. As a newcomer, I am still unfamiliar with many aspects, and I am deeply grateful for Elder Zhong's patient guidance. This is a small local specialty. I hope you will not find it unworthy. Tang Tian smiled. Zhongyang raised an eyebrow and opened the box slightly. Inside was a collection of ordinary spirit fruits, which had a pleasant taste but offered little in terms of cultivation benefits. However, in the corner beneath the fruits lay a piece of top-grade spirit jade, emitting a faint glow. Oh, Zhongyang's face brightened with a smile as he closed the lid. Not many young people today possess your cleverness. Feel free to express any request you may have, he encouraged. Tang Tian chuckled softly. I have no particular demands. It's just that my strength is rather inadequate. which makes me concerned whether the guards will heed my instructions. After all, they are exceptional talents. Zhongyang nodded in agreement. Indeed, similar situations have occurred before. Rest assured, I will assess the candidates on your behalf. Is there anything else you require? Tang Tian cupped his hands in gratitude. No, thank you for your efforts, Elder. Zhongyang smiled slightly and accepted everything on the table. Seeing this, Tang Tian felt relieved. He had been worried that Zhongyang might be overly principled and dismiss the box in his face. Notably, the offering of the top-grade spirit stone to Zhongyang had also triggered the consumption system, which acknowledged it as a legitimate transaction. How intriguing. With all matters resolved, the two individuals engaged in further conversation before Tang Tian decided to take his leave. The guards would arrive the following day, at which point he would relocate to the upper district of the Qinghua sect, a privilege reserved for advanced honorary disciples. Stepping out of the merit hall, he noticed that dusk had begun to set in, prompting him to return to his modest stone abode. Once seated within his humble quarters, he commenced an evaluation of the day's acquisitions. Low-grade elixirs, spiritual herbs, spiritual fruits, spiritual artifacts, and talismans had nearly filled his storage ring to capacity. Furthermore, he had procured several commendable items, including foundation establishment pills, spirit-nourishing pills, the diamond heart shield, and the wind-cleaving sword technique. Collectively, these treasures positioned him as a somewhat affluent young master. Moreover, his two systems were no longer barren. Within the non-decrease, non-increase system, he had amassed nearly 30 million spirit jade, an unfathomable sum, especially considering he had been destitute just hours earlier. Such is the advantage of possessing a system. Additionally, the infinite consumption system had accumulated over 2,700 consumption points, finally allowing him to exchange for goods. What to exchange for? Tang Tian directed his gaze towards the exchange list. Given his current assets, he could only redeem within the realms of talent, physique, and comprehension. After careful consideration, he first opted for the most crucial attribute for any cultivator, talent. A 4-ring talent required 1,000 consumption points. Upon completion of the exchange, a profound aura emanated from Tang Tian, enveloping him in an exhilarating sensation that spread from head to toe, though it quickly dissipated into thin air. Had it worked? He examined his hands, noting that there seemed to be no visible change. It was time to test it. He assumed a cross-legged position, swiftly entering a meditative state. The Qi induction method, a universally adopted cultivation technique, effectively harnessed the resonance between oneself and the heavens, drawing in the ethereal spiritual energy present in the environment to enhance one's body. The efficacy of this technique was closely linked to the cultivator's talent, physique, the density of external spiritual energy, and the surrounding environment. Previously, when he practiced, a faint white spiritual halo would appear around him, known as the talent ring, which augmented his cultivation speed. However, his talent ring was unstable and did not meet the criteria for a 1-ring talent, resulting in poor outcomes. At this moment, as he activated the Qi induction method, luminous talent rings manifested around his body, instantly resonating with the surrounding spiritual energy. In an instant, a torrent of rich spiritual energy surged into Tang Tian's body, swiftly permeating his limbs and bones. Ah, what a delightful sensation. He could not suppress a sigh of contentment. The quantity and quality of spiritual energy now exceeded his previous experiences by an astonishing tenfold. No wonder Lin Yu, endowed with the 5 rings talent, was able to swiftly distance herself from Tang Tian. 2 years have elapsed, and she is on the verge of participating in the core disciple selection, while Tang Tian remains merely a second-level Qi refinement servant disciple. However, the present circumstances are markedly different. As long as Tang Tian continues to consume resources, ascending to the realms of 5 rings, 6 rings, or even beyond 9 rings is no longer an unattainable dream. Surpassing the past is merely a question of time. In the midst of contemplation, a fierce momentum surged from his dantian, shattering the constraints of the 2nd level of Qi refinement. He has finally broken through to the 3rd level of Qi refinement. Chapter 9. Mastery of the sword technique. The 4 luminous talent rings gradually dimmed as Tang Tian completed his first cultivation session after traversing realms. After exchanging for the 4 rings talent, a single session of cultivation allowed him to successfully break through the stagnation he had experienced at the 2nd level of Qi refinement for an entire year. Indeed, in the pursuit of cultivation, it is exceedingly difficult for ordinary individuals to reach the summit. Fortunately, Tang Tian has the system by his side. Feeling the surge of power at the 3rd level of Qi refinement, Tang Tian once again turned his attention to the consumption system. Physical constitution is also a crucial aspect for cultivators. If talent represents the future, then constitution signifies current combat prowess. The more exceptional an individual's constitution, the stronger their capabilities among peers of the same level. Different constitutions often exhibit remarkable superiority in various aspects. Some are as light as a swallow, others possess immense strength, while some are favored by the heavens, naturally endowed with an extraordinary affinity for nature. This is an innate gift. Yet Tang Tian is merely an ordinary body, lacking any outstanding traits. But now, with a fourth-tier constitution costing 1,000 consumption points, he hopes it will be as powerful as the Four Rings talent. He chose to redeem it directly. Soon, the voice of the system echoed. Redemption successful. The system will randomly select a type of fourth-tier constitution. Selection complete. Congratulations. You have obtained the bloodline of the mighty ape. As the announcement concluded, an indescribable warmth enveloped his entire being in an instant. Tang Tian felt as if he were being scorched by flames, his body ablaze with heat. His heart raced wildly, emitting a deep thudding sound. With each heartbeat, a torrent of blood surged forth, coursing through his limbs and bones. Moments later, all of Tang Tian's blood vessels expanded, his sinews strengthened, and powerful muscles lay hidden beneath his skin, his entire being brimming with boundless strength. Even his skin seemed to have grown more resilient, emitting a faint glow. Sensing the sudden surge of power, Tang Tian swung his fist, producing a sound akin to breaking the air. Remarkable. A smile graced Tang Tian's lips. The bloodline of the mighty ape has elevated his physical prowess significantly, banishing any remnants of weakness. Moreover, as his cultivation advances, the effects of the bloodline will become increasingly pronounced until it reaches the zenith of its potential. What level of demon beast is the Hercules ape? Tang Tian could not find any information about it in his memory, but he quickly ceased his search. With a fourth-tier physique, it was merely an initial transition. In the future, he would acquire even more extraordinary physiques. He was finally no longer a weakling. With a sigh of relief, Tang Tian turned his attention back to the system. Over 700 consumption points remained, and there was no longer a need to exchange for talents or physiques. The only option left for redemption was comprehension. One ordinary insight cost 100 consumption points. An ordinary insight, it could elevate the realm of mortal-level techniques by one stage. After pondering for a moment, Tang Tian took out a jade slip containing a supreme mortal-level sword technique, the wind-cleaving sword art. For cultivators, techniques are of utmost importance. Akin to hands wielding weapons, the higher the realm of the technique, the greater the power it could unleash. Generally, all techniques have 5 stages: initiation, proficiency, mastery, minor achievement, and major achievement. Let us give it a try. Tang Tian directly chose an ordinary insight. In an instant, a wave of clarity surged into his spirit platform. He felt as though time itself had become clear, as if he could reach the source and see through its essence in the blink of an eye. Hastily, he grasped the jade slip, immersing his consciousness within. A misty expanse unfolded before him. Amidst this realm, a youth clad in white danced gracefully with a long sword, each strike appearing as natural as willow leaves swaying in the wind, pleasing to behold. Simultaneously, each of his strikes was deeply etched into Tang Tian's soul, comprehended in their entirety. Time passed unnoticed, and the white expanse faded away, pulling Tang Tian's awareness back to the small stone room. Opening his eyes, Tang Tian suddenly rose, retrieving a spiritual sword from his storage ring, and began to move about the room. Should anyone have witnessed him, they would have been astonished to find that his sword technique mirrored that of the white-clad youth, without a single discrepancy. After completing a full sword technique, Tang Tian sheathed his sword and stood still, a gentle smile gracing his face. He knew he had attained the entry-level proficiency in the wind-cleaving sword art. Once more, he exchanged for another ordinary insight, submerging his consciousness into the jade slip. The same realm and white-clad youth appeared once more. However, this time, his movements had changed. They were no longer as ethereal, but instead brimming with a fierce intensity. The lethal strikes dazzled the eye, overwhelming the senses. Moments later, the realm faded again. Proficient realm. Tang Tian smiled slightly. Let us continue. Soon, he beheld the white-clad youth once more. The young man's sword became increasingly formidable, accompanied by a series of sword techniques that unleashed waves of sword energy, forming an impenetrable vortex of blades around him. Merely observing from afar evoked a chilling sensation within one's heart. Mastery of the realm. Once more, the moment of enlightenment commenced anew. This time, the long sword in the young man's hand had mysteriously vanished, and he appeared considerably subdued, having shed his previous fierce aura. Yet, when a majestic eagle soared overhead, he merely brought his fingers together and waved them gently. A feather fell from both the eagle's wings and tail, unnoticed by the creature itself. The young man smiled as he extended his palm, his gaze fixed upon the feather gently landing in his hand. The minor attainment of returning to simplicity. Tang Tian closed his eyes, seemingly attuned to the young man's mental state at that moment. A realm of unity between man and sword. After a brief pause, he accessed the system in exchange for the fifth ordinary moment of enlightenment. The young man had vanished. In the vast, white expanse, no living being remained. Only the formless wind, ever shifting. At times gentle, at times tempestuous, at times utterly still. After a considerable time, Tang Tian departed from the ethereal realm and returned to the stone chamber. Upon opening his eyes, a glimmer flashed momentarily before fading away. His entire demeanor underwent a striking transformation, as though he had fused with the very essence of the universe. Is this the realm of great accomplishment? Tang Tian gently raised his hand, pointing towards the dilapidated table beneath the window. A soft breeze swept through. In utter silence, the wooden table split down the middle, collapsing to the ground. The fracture was as smooth as a mirror. The exceptional sword technique at the mortal level wielded such formidable power upon reaching great accomplishment. One could only ponder the nature of even higher level techniques. Tang Tian stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The luminous moonlight poured through the window, bathing him in its glow. Chapter 10. Gu Xiaoxua. Early the next morning, a gentle knocking at the door roused Tang Tian from his slumber. Who could it be? He yawned, rising to open the door. A petite young girl, seemingly around 14 or 15 years of age, stood outside with an air of timidity. Who are you looking for? Tang Tian inquired. The girl paused for a moment, then quietly replied, May I ask if you are Master Tang Tian? Elder Zhongyang sent me. I am your bodyguard. As she spoke, a faint blush graced her cheeks. Tang Tian was taken aback. Scrutinizing her attire, her white robe adorned with 3 golden trims that shimmered brilliantly. So, she truly is a core disciple. She is the bodyguard chosen for me by Zhongyang? Observing the girl's flushed cheeks and bashful demeanor, Tang Tian harbored serious doubts. That old man Zhongyang must have misunderstood my intentions. This is not the obedient companion I desired. What is your name? Tang Tian asked. The young girl exclaimed softly, My name is Gu Xiaoxua. I will surely protect you well, and I kindly ask for your guidance. Young master. Tang Tian felt a sense of exasperation. This girl appeared to be a complete novice, seemingly lacking in intelligence. Much like one who has been sold, yet still counts others' coins with naivety. Just call me Tang Xiao. Come in and take a seat. He sighed, accepting the situation. After all, the 3 golden trims on her sleeves could not be feigned. Her capabilities were undoubtedly reliable. If it truly did not work out, he could always seek out Zhongyang for a replacement. As they entered the small stone house, Gu Xiaoxua stood in the middle, her eyes wide with curiosity. Marveling at everything around her, Tang Tian returned to the bedside, tidying the bedding as he inquired, This is your first time serving as a guard, isn't it? Xiaoxua replied with astonishment, How did you know? I require an abundance of spirit jade for my cultivation, and the allowance from the sect is insufficient. Elder Zhongyang mentioned that working as a guard could earn a significant amount of spirit jade, so I signed up. You could guess that? Tang Tian smirked. It was hardly a guess. Her inexperience was evident. After arranging the bedding, he moved toward the window to tidy up the wooden table he had severed last night. It was his habit to leave a clean space, even if he was about to depart. Do you know what duties a guard entails? He asked again. I do. Gu Xiaoxua responded eagerly. I have memorized all the guard regulations, so there will be no issues. You can rest assured. I will fulfill my responsibilities diligently. After speaking, she noticed Tang Tian sorting the furniture and hurried over to assist him. Tang Tian chuckled. I doubt that duty is included in the regulations. Feeling a bit embarrassed, Gu Xiaoxua replied, It's just a habit. When I lived at home, I used to handle these tasks. Tang Tian fell silent. Clearly, she was not the pampered princess from a wealthy family. Indeed, such young ladies would hardly serve as guards for spirit jade. As he placed the furniture in the corner, he straightened up only to find Gu Xiaoxua staring intently at the broken table, lost in thought. What's wrong? He asked. Gu Xiaoxua extended her finger to touch the fractured edge of the wood and turned to him. What an impressive sword technique. Did you do this? Tang Tian paused, realizing there was no need to conceal the truth, and nodded. Indeed, I severed the table. Would you like to spar with me one day? Gu Xiaoxua asked, her face lighting up with excitement. I haven't practiced basic swordplay in ages. I miss the times when I used to play. Tang Tian was taken aback. Basic swordplay? Play? He had expected that his mastery of the Gale sword technique would inspire some admiration in her. Instead, she treated it as mere amusement. How strong are you? Tang Tian felt a twinge of indignation and inquired, What is your cultivation level? Gu Xiaoxua blinked innocently. I am at the late stage of the golden core. Tang Tian pressed further. How old are you? Gu Xiaoxua pouted. I'm already 15. I started a bit late and missed the prime time for cultivation. Otherwise, I would have surely advanced further. Tang Tian's eyelids twitched. At 15, in the late stage of the golden core, and still dissatisfied with herself, could one really be so ostentatious? Gazing into Gu Xiaoxua's clear eyes, Tang Tian suddenly comprehended that she was not being pretentious. She merely had a vastly skewed perception of certain matters. After a deep breath, Tang Tian continued, "How many innate rings do you possess?" He sought to understand what kind of talent could produce such a prodigy. Gu Xiaoshue's face clouded with confusion. "What are innate rings?" "I don't have any." Tang Tian fell silent once more. Without innate rings, she was essentially immortal. How could a mere mortal achieve the late stage of the golden core at 15? It seemed implausible. Suddenly, a different possibility dawned on Tang Tian. Indeed, innate rings are a standard measure of a cultivator's talent, with 9 rings being the highest. Yet beyond 9 rings, there exists an even more extraordinary existence. Such beings would not reveal their innate rings. Tang Tian turned his gaze to the system, focusing on the talent list. Child of Destiny, 1 billion consumption points. That amounts to a staggering 100 trillion spirit stones. Starting with a lead of 100 trillion. How could others possibly compete? Is this truly the realm of geniuses? Tang Tian rubbed his temples. The chasm between individuals was simply too vast. Some might toil their entire lives, yet never approach the starting point of someone like Gu Xiaoshue. What's wrong? Gu Xiaoshue inquired. Tang Tian waved his hand dismissively. It's nothing. Just need a moment to collect my thoughts. Please help me tidy up the rest of the room. Gu Xiaoshue nodded eagerly. Oh, okay. She then busied herself with the task. Watching someone who was at least a child of destiny clean for him, Tang Tian felt an overwhelming sense of unreality. The power of wealth is indeed formidable. As he pondered, a sudden knock echoed at the door. Bang, bang, bang. The person outside seemed intent on demolishing the door. Who is it? Tang Tian frowned and rose to open the door. 4 or 5 disciples in short shirts stood lazily outside. Upon seeing Tang Tian, they instantly donned menacing grins. Huh, I thought you were going to hide away forever. How dare you skip work yesterday, causing me to be reprimanded by the elder? Do you wish to court death? The leader sneered. Tang Tian furrowed his brows, quickly recalling him from memory. Jia Ming, the tyrant among the servants, was notorious for bullying and robbing Tang Tian. In truth, Tang Tian wished to avoid entangling himself with such a character. Considering that those matters were remnants of a former life and bore little significance to him, the two of them belonged to entirely different realms henceforth. To his surprise, however, this individual sought him out early in the morning. You had better not be here to stir up trouble, Tang Tian said in a low voice. Jia Ming immediately raised an eyebrow and retorted loudly. Oh, so you're giving me face now? Haven't you had enough of a beating the day before yesterday? Do you wish to taste my iron fist again? As he spoke, he rubbed his knuckles, feigning a readiness to strike. Tang Tian's expression darkened, a sharp aura coalescing at his fingertips. Should Jia Ming dare to throw a punch, he would find it impossible to retract it. Yet, just as the tension between the two escalated to a breaking point, a commanding voice rang out from behind Tang Tian. Unbridled audacity. Gu Xiaoshue's figure appeared before Lin Tian in an instant. Who do you think you are, daring to challenge my young master Tang? Are you tired of living? Scram at once. Observing Gu Xiaoshue's flushed face as she deliberately lowered her voice to deliver such obsequious words, Tang Tian could not help but feel a sense of exasperation. My dear girl, from whom have you learned such rhetoric? Chapter 11. Bidding farewell to the past, Gu Xiaoshue's arrival instantly altered the dynamics of the situation. There was no denying that her words, when juxtaposed with her appearance, tone, and gestures, formed a striking contrast. Not only Tang Tian, but even Jia Ming appeared utterly bewildered. Where did this talent emerge from? Jia Ming sneered, preparing to step forward to teach this audacious newcomer a lesson. Humph, I care not who you are, in this territory. No one dares to be arrogant before me. With that, he advanced. However, when his gaze fell upon the golden trims adorning Gu Xiaoshue's sleeves, he was instantly taken aback. What? Poor disciple. Jia Ming froze in place, his foot suspended mid-step, caught in a state of indecision, as if time itself had halted. The henchmen behind him were equally transfixed, their breath held as they beheld the resplendent golden edges. This turn of events elicited a laugh from Tang Tian. Jia Ming, I thought you were quite formidable. Hearing this, Jia Ming glanced between Tang Tian and Gu Xiaoshue, his mouth opening and closing, yet no words escaped. The two parties fell into a momentary silence, with Jia Ming hesitant to make any rash movements. Lesser figures often grasped the gravity of the situation. Upon Gu Xiaoshue's appearance by Tang Tian's side, he realized that Tang Tian was no longer the weak, easily bullied youth of yore. The roles they once held had been irreversibly reversed. Soon, beads of cold sweat began to trickle down Jia Ming's forehead, and his entire body started to tremble. Observing his terrified demeanor, Tang Tian coldly snorted and instructed Gu Xiaoshue, sever one hand from each, break both legs, and then throw them all out. After speaking, he turned and walked back into the room. Jia Ming was immediately flustered, shouting loudly, Tang Tian, no, young Master Tang. I will leave right away, far away. And I promise I will never appear before you again. Please, have mercy. He pleaded vociferously, but Tang Tian did not even glance back, vanishing into the light. Engaging with such a person was beneath him. This minor punishment could be regarded as settling past scores. Soon, the sounds of pleading faded, replaced by piercing screams that echoed relentlessly. Yet, those screams too soon ceased. Subsequently, Gu Xiaoxue entered from outside. Observing her nonchalant demeanor, Tang Tian could not help but inquire. Have you often harmed others in the past? Gu Xiaoxue was taken aback and replied, No, but wasn't that what you instructed me to do? It's part of the guard's code. When the employer is threatened, the guard must thwart the threat. Tang Tian was astonished. She truly adhered to the letter of the law. However, Gu Xiaoxue's earlier behavior somewhat eased his mind. At least the girl would act decisively in a crisis. By the way, where did you learn that speech? Tang Tian teased. Gu Xiaoxue, slightly embarrassed, responded, I read it in books. The young masters in those tales always have their companions speaking like that. Tang Tian realized. So that was it. Yet, those young masters were typically not of noble character. Young master, did I act correctly just now? If not, please do let me know. Gu Xiaoxue inquired. Tang Tian grunted in acknowledgement, initially intending to suggest that it was somewhat excessive. However, upon reflection, he found merit in her approach. Being a rogue was far more comfortable than being an upstanding individual. Moreover, with Gu Xiaoxue taking the initiative, he could conceal his true strength, leading his adversaries to misjudge him. Why not embrace this? With that thought, Tang Tian earnestly declared, You acted very correctly. When faced with a fierce opponent, we must be even fiercer to instill fear. Upon hearing this, Gu Xiaoxue nodded repeatedly, indicating her understanding. In their casual conversation, the two swiftly tidied the stone room. Then, Tang Tian instructed Gu Xiaoxue to exit first, before retrieving a purple robe designated for high-ranking honorary disciples from his Shumi ring. He changed out of his servant's attire, neatly placing it by the bedside. From this moment on, he would bid farewell to his past memories and embark on a life that truly belonged to him. Without excessive sentimentality, Tang Tian pushed open the door and stepped outside. Oh, you seem more handsome now, Gu Xiaoxue remarked in surprise. As the saying goes, a Buddha relies on gold adornments, and a person relies on attire. Clad in the garments of an esteemed honorary disciple, Tang Tian's entire demeanor underwent a remarkable transformation. There was an air of understated nobility, intertwined with a composure that belied his youth. What utter nonsense, he chuckled. Shall we head to the upper district? Are you familiar with the location of the foodie pavilion? Gu Xiaoxue nodded, replying, Indeed, it is where disciples are assigned their cave abodes. Would you like to go? I can guide you. Tang Tian consented with a nod, and the two proceeded towards the upper district of Qinghua sect. As they walked and conversed, Tang Tian gleaned a wealth of information about the upper district from Gu Xiaoxue. The cultivation environment there was leagues apart from that of the lower district. The concentration of spiritual energy was exponentially greater, and there were various dedicated facilities such as cultivation rooms, alchemy chambers, martial halls, and spirit refining pools, along with numerous secret realms. It could be said that the upper district of Qinghua sect was the true realm of cultivation. However, only inner disciples, core disciples, and the esteemed elders of the sect had the privilege to reside there. It was no wonder that people strived desperately to enter the inner sect. Moreover, the primary activities of honorary disciples also took place within the upper district. According to Gu Xiaoxue, they often organized gatherings and other events, where spirit stones would be abundant. Disciples in need of financial resources would seize these opportunities to earn spirit stones, thus ensuring their cultivation needs were met. Tang Tian, upon hearing this, couldn't he help but feel a sense of nostalgia. Despite being in a realm of immortality, the societal dynamics bore a striking resemblance to those of the past. The everyday lives of individuals remained unchanged. Honorary disciples tend to band together. Once you ascend, there will surely be someone seeking you out, Gu Xiaoxue remarked. Tang Tian smiled in response, remaining reticent. The notion of camaraderie held little allure for him. His sole desire was to acquire resources to exchange for superior talents and physique. Lin Yu had aptly stated that this was, after all, a world of cultivation, where strength was the most reliable foundation. Amidst their casual banter, the two ascended to the upper district of Qinghua sect. Shortly thereafter, they arrived before an imposing pavilion, the foodie pavilion. Once one becomes an inner or core disciple, they are entitled to claim a cave abode of their own here, Gu Xiaoxue explained. Tang Tian nodded, leading her inside. The interior was sparsely populated, with individuals moving briskly. Their hurried pace a stark contrast to the lively atmosphere of the lower district. Yet, there were clusters of people gathered, and Tang Tian spotted several other honorary disciples. Some wielding folding fans while others played various instruments, engaged in jovial conversation. As he entered, A few glances were cast in his direction, but he paid them no mind, making his way directly to the pavilion's overseer. Greetings, fellow cultivator. The person in charge was also a young monk, who, upon seeing the attire of Tang Tian, immediately broke into a warm and enthusiastic smile. I am Wang Anning. How may I assist you, fellow cultivator? Wang Anning inquired politely. Tang Tian replied, I have recently become an honorary disciple and heard that I could acquire my own cave dwelling here. Wang Anning nodded affirmatively. Certainly. All cave dwellings in the upper district of Qinghua sect are overseen by our foodie pavilion. What kind of dwelling do you seek? Tang Tian pondered for a moment. I would like to take a look first. He was still unfamiliar with the specifics of the place. Very well. Please follow me. Wang Anning invited Tang Tian into a private room and then produced a white jade slip, offering it to Tang Tian. This contains basic information about the cave dwellings. You can delve into it with your spiritual consciousness, Wang Anning explained. Tang Tian accepted the jade slip and probed it with his spiritual consciousness. A plethora of information materialized before him. Qingyu Valley, located on the northern side of Qinghua sect, it boasts a rich natural atmosphere. With a total of 123 cave dwellings, rented annually for 100,000 spirit jade. Jingguang Cliff, situated in the southeast of Qinghua sect. It enjoys the embrace of the morning light, featuring 344 cave dwellings, with an annual rental of 130,000 spirit jade. Yangsheng Pool. As he perused the listings, Tang Tian gained a general understanding of the cave dwellings in Qinghua sect, centered around the main peak. Various cave dwellings existed within a radius of 10,000 miles, divided into hundreds of large and small areas. Each area's environment differed, and consequently, the prices varied as well. The most affordable options were around 30 to 40,000 annually, while the most expensive could exceed $1 million. Those were primarily located near the main peak, offering exceptional cultivation and living conditions. However, after reviewing the options, Tang Tian noticed a minor issue. The number of cave dwellings in every area was not singular. Some had dozens, while others reached over 1,000. Preferring solitude over the company of neighbors, Tang Tian withdrew his spiritual consciousness and looked at Wang Anning. Are there any other options? Wang Anning appeared momentarily taken aback. Were none of the cave dwellings to your satisfaction? Do you have any specific requests? Tang Tian nodded. I prefer not to be disturbed, so I am looking for a quieter place. Wang Anning replied. A solitary cave dwelling? We do have those, but generally, they are quite expensive, and the cultivation environment may not necessarily be superior to those of the more common dwellings. Tang Tian waved his hand dismissively. Price is not an issue. Could you assist me in finding the solitary cave dwelling with the best cultivation environment? The most expensive one. The last 3 words caused Wang Anning's eyes to brighten, his face breaking into a joyful smile. Of course, that is my duty. I will fetch you another list of cave dwellings right away. With that, Wang Anning rose and departed the private room. After he departed, Gu Xiaoxue suddenly leaned towards Tang Tian, her face a mask of astonishment as she inquired, Is there a fee for the cave dwelling? Tang Tian was equally taken aback, responding, Isn't there supposed to be? Did you not incur any expenses for your cave? Gu Xiaoxue blinked innocently. Indeed, once one becomes a core disciple, they may choose a cave to reside in, with the option to change it every 10 years, all at no cost. It appears that inner disciples enjoy similar privileges, though their selections are of a slightly lesser caliber. Tang Tian opened his mouth, rendered speechless. The distinction between the status of a high-ranking honorary disciple and that of a core disciple was starkly apparent. Securing a cave required additional expenditure of spirit jade. If this was the case for cave dwellings, it stood to reason that many other areas would be similar. Inevitably, there would be expenses involved. Contemplating this, a smile crept across Tang Tian's face. Fortunately, he was not a core disciple. Otherwise, he would find himself devoid of funds. How many consumption points would he lose? The disparity in treatment was glaring, and he felt that the sect had acted somewhat unreasonably in this regard. Gu Xiaoxue empathized with Tang Tian's plight. Yet, Tang Tian maintained a cheerful demeanor, chuckling. No, I find it quite agreeable. I appreciate such a humane policy. Upon hearing this, Gu Xiaoxue's eyes widened in disbelief. Her expression filled with concern as she quietly asked, Tang Xiao, are you all right? With the same status, you would have to spend a considerable amount of spirit jade. Tang Tian merely shook his head with a smile. Out with the old, in with the new. I truly relish the sensation of spending money, even if it is frivolous. Gu Xiaoxue was taken aback, unable to comprehend the mental state that would lead someone to utter such words. After a while, Wang Anning returned to the private chamber, presenting Tang Tian with a brand new jade slip. Upon opening it, a lengthy list unfurled before him. Tang Tian swiftly bypassed the million-level options, directing his gaze towards the most expensive cave dwellings. Ultimately, he settled on one named Zizhu Garden. Zizhu Garden, located at the foot of the southern peak of the main mountain, It boasts an exceptional cultivation environment, with an annual rent of 13 million. Let us discuss the particulars of Zizhu Garden, Tang Tian proposed. Wang Anning beamed. Your discernment is truly admirable. Zizhu Garden is situated in close proximity to the main peak, practically adjacent to it. The environment is tranquil, surrounded by a grove of purple bamboo, which forms a natural formation that continuously gathers the essence of heaven and earth. The concentration of spiritual energy is approximately 5 times that of the surrounding areas. Within Zizhu Garden, there is also an ancient well known as the Ninshuan, which possesses calming and restorative properties. Furthermore, there are no other disciples' caves within 100 meters, making it an ideal location for solitude. Tang Tian nodded, recognizing that, indeed, it was a highly suitable place for habitation. Of course, its exorbitant price was its primary allure. Very well, I shall take it. Tang Tian decisively made his decision. Wang Anning smiled even more brightly, saying, My friend, you are indeed straightforward. It is evident that you are not an ordinary disciple of mere reputation. How long do you wish to rent it for? Tang Tian inquired. The maximum duration is 10 years, Wang Anning replied. Tang Tian nodded slowly. Then I shall take it for 10 years. However, I would prefer to make the payment in 3 installments, 2 years first, followed by 4 years, and finally another 4 years. Wang Anning was taken aback. It was the first time he had encountered such a payment method. Yet, it was only natural for affluent individuals to possess peculiar habits, as long as the transaction was completed. Selling property, of course, comes with a commission. That is certainly feasible. Moments later, the 3 transactions were successfully completed, leaving both parties exceedingly pleased. Wang Anning earned a handsome commission, while Tang Tian's assets multiplied several times over. The quantity of spiritual jade soared to an astonishing 57 million, while his consumption points surpassed 10,000. The potential of the 5 rings talent lay before him. Chapter 13. Renovation. After concluding the transaction, Wang Anning graciously led Tang Tian to the foot of the southern peak. The environment here was indeed splendid. The air was fresh, and the mountains and waters exuded a serene purity, reminiscent of a hidden paradise. In the valley, a striking grove of purple bamboo caught the eye. The purple bamboo courtyard is right over there. Please follow me, Wang Anning said as he guided them into the grove. Upon entering the bamboo forest, Tang Tian was immediately enveloped by a refreshing aura that invigorated his spirit and brought him immense comfort. It was the essence of nature. Cultivating in such an environment often yielded remarkable results. Outside the purple bamboo grove, disciples frequently came to practice. But you need not worry, without special permission. They cannot step foot into the grove, Wang Anning assured him. Tang Tian nodded. This was not a concern, as he had not purchased the entire grove. Though he wished he could, it was not for sale to the public. Following the path deeper into the bamboo forest, they suddenly stumbled upon a breathtaking scene. A quaint courtyard stood gracefully amidst the flowing waters and delicate bridges, seemingly harmonizing with its surroundings. Wang Anning then halted, producing a formation plate. The perimeter of the purple bamboo courtyard is arranged with a formation that prevents cultivators below the tribulation stage from forcefully entering. I possess 3 plates to activate the formation, which I shall transfer to you shortly. With this plate, you may freely enter and exit the courtyard, he explained. Tang Tian remained silent. It was akin to possessing a key to his own home. Under Wang Anning's guidance, the grand formation opened from the outside, and the 3 of them entered the purple bamboo courtyard in succession. The natural essence within the courtyard was several times denser than that of the outer bamboo grove, and the concentration of spiritual energy was exceptionally high, which greatly pleased Tang Tian. With a heightened concentration of spiritual energy, his cultivation speed would undoubtedly increase. He is currently at the 3rd level of qi refinement. Even if he can exchange for higher level talents, he still has a long journey ahead. The Zizhu courtyard consists of a main house and 4 spacious guest rooms. Each room is equipped with a private meditation chamber for daily tranquility. In the expansive courtyard, a colossal old locust tree nearly obscures half the sky. As spring unfolds, vibrant green buds emerge, glistening in the sunlight. Beside the old locust tree stands an ancient well, surrounded by flourishing life and imbued with a mysterious aura. This is the Ninshuan well, Wang Anning remarked. The well water connects to underground water veins, giving rise to the Ninshuan. Drinking this water or resting by the well can bring peace and tranquility to the mind. Tang Tian nodded, finding the spot, with its back to the old locust and facing the sky, to be quite delightful. A perfect place for someone with a serene and uncontentious disposition like himself. Under Wang Anning's guidance, Tang Tian toured several rooms, noting that they were fully furnished for comfortable living, even featuring a kitchen, a rarity in the cultivation world. Tang Tian suspected this place was once a retreat for a senior cultivator enjoying a peaceful retirement. Very nice, he expressed his satisfaction with the environment. Wang Anning smiled. I'm relieved to hear that. By the way, do you have any other requests? Perhaps additional facilities? Tang Tian raised an eyebrow. What kind of facilities? Wang Anning replied. I mean items related to cultivation. As you may have noticed, most of the things here are mundane, aside from the environment. There is nothing to enhance cultivation efficiency, like minor spiritual veins, white fireflies lamps, calming jade, or guiding stones, for instance. Typically, higher-level cultivators would furnish their homes with such items. Tang Tian was taken aback. So after buying the house, he would need to renovate it as well? Quite reasonable. Is the renovation also your responsibility? Let me see, he said. Absolutely. Wang Anning beamed, realizing that if Tang Tian was willing to spend lavishly on renovations, it would be quite lucrative for him. Receiving the jade slip from Wang Anning, Tang Tian glanced at the dense information, feeling overwhelmed. He tossed it back, stating, I don't quite understand these things. Please handle it for me. I have but one requirement. Everything must be of the highest quality. Wang Anning's grin widened, relishing the prospect of dealing with such a wealthy and hands-off young master. Soon, the three of them settled by the stone table next to the ancient well, with Wang Anning periodically presenting the renovation plans. Young Master Tang, please take a look. In regard to the spiritual veins, I have opted for the attribute-less Xianling vein, which, once arranged, will elevate the spiritual energy concentration of the entire room to a higher tier, alleviating any concerns regarding continuity. The price is 25 million. For the lighting fixtures, I have chosen the tail feathers of the silver shuttle bird, which will further enhance the natural ambience of the interior, with each feather priced at 800,000. As for the tranquil jade, after meticulous selection, Wang Anning has chosen a set of soft-toned configurations for Tang Tian, perfectly complementing the architecture of this place. Furthermore, these are predominantly high-spec items. When the total cost is calculated, merely decorating the main residence requires a staggering sum exceeding 90 million. The remaining 4 guest rooms will each necessitate close to 40 million. After some contemplation, Tang Tian declared, let us proceed with this configuration. Besides the main residence, I will also have 1 guest room decorated. He then turned to Gu Xiaoxue and inquired, which room do you wish to occupy? Gu Xiaoxue was momentarily stunned, then quickly waved her hands, saying, Young Master Tang, I do not require such high-end furnishings. My cultivation only necessitates resonating with the heavens and the earth. These luxuries do not significantly benefit me. You should save your money. She appeared quite flustered by the attention. Tang Tian was taken aback, realizing that Gu Xiaoxue had misunderstood his intentions. The reason he intended to decorate a guest room was solely due to his current financial constraints, which prevented him from decorating all the guest rooms at once. Completing all the renovations would necessitate staggered payments, a peculiar behavior that would inevitably raise suspicions. However, since Gu Xiaoxue felt this way, he found it difficult to reveal the truth. It's all right, feel free to choose. I simply do not wish to slight a genius like you. No objections. Tang Tian firmly interjected, halting Gu Xiaoxue's refusals. Gu Xiaoxue looked at Tang Tian, somewhat at a loss, her large eyes brimming with emotion. Meanwhile, Wang Anning gazed at Gu Xiaoxue with envy, seemingly lamenting why she was not the one receiving such favor. Their reactions left Tang Tian feeling quite uncomfortable. That is not my intention at all. Ahem. He cleared his throat and swiftly changed the subject. Let us settle on this. And I kindly ask you to make one more trip. I shall refrain from accompanying you. Wang Anning nodded. Certainly. Rest assured. I will ensure everything is done beautifully for you. Chapter 14. Sparring with the decoration list finalized, Wang Anning departed from the Zizhu courtyard to procure the furnishings. Tang Tian and Gu Xiaoxue remained seated beneath the old locust tree. Following the earlier incident, Gu Xiaoxue became noticeably shy, sitting obediently with flushed cheeks, barely daring to glance at Tang Tian. Tang Tian felt a sense of helplessness. This girl was truly too innocent. If he harbored such thoughts, she would undoubtedly lack any means of resistance. Yet, she was at least a child of innate talent. Should not the Qingyue sect take special measures to protect such a prodigy? Moreover, Elder Zhongyang casually drew her close to himself, seemingly unperturbed by the potential ruin of this future luminary. He found it somewhat perplexing. Yet, within the realm of cultivation, there exist myriad enigmas that elude comprehension, especially since he had once been merely a lowly servant disciple, lacking in exposure and experience. Who could say if there were hidden traps lurking within? Ah well, it would be clearer in due time. Observing Gu Xiaoxue's fidgety demeanor, Tang Tian sighed inwardly and spoke. Xiaoxue, why not accompany me for a sword practice? I have gleaned some insights in his swordsmanship recently. He wished to dispel the peculiar atmosphere that had settled between them. Upon hearing Tang Tian's voice, Gu Xiaoxue looked up suddenly, exclaiming, Oh sure. How would you like to practice? Tang Tian responded with a smile. Didn't you mention that my sword style was something you played with as a child? Let us engage in play, just as you did back then. With that, he rose and moved to a more spacious area of the courtyard. Sounds good. Gu Xiaoxue's eyes sparkled as she stood and positioned herself opposite Tang Tian. The two faced each other directly. I won't hold back, so do be prepared, Tang Tian declared, embodying the demeanor of a seasoned expert. Gu Xiaoxue nodded eagerly. Of course. It wouldn't be fun if you did. In a moment of fervor, Tang Tian thought, it seems I must demonstrate my prowess. Suddenly, a gust of wind surged within the courtyard. A long sword materialized in Tang Tian's grasp. Gu Xiaoxue gasped softly, a flicker of surprise crossing her features. Here it comes, Tang Tian shouted, rising to his full height. Instantly, a tempest erupted in the courtyard, enveloping Gu Xiaoxue's petite figure entirely. In quick succession, countless strands of sword energy surged from all directions towards her, impenetrable, each imbued with an exceedingly fierce aura. How intriguing. Gu Xiaoxue smiled subtly as she drew her own long sword. With an elegant flourish, she arced her blade through the air, dispelling all incoming sword energy. However, the energy quickly redirected itself, returning anew, this time devoid of its former ferocity, transforming as if resembling feathers dancing in the breeze. With her sword raised in a horizontal slash, the sword energy bypassed her blade, swiftly attaching itself to her form. Gu Xiaoxue exclaimed, startled, as she swiftly dodged, the energy barely grazing her. Subsequently, she altered her sword technique, rotating her wrist to conjure several invisible vortices that ensnared the soft sword energy, causing it to collide and dissipate into nothingness. Concealed within the winds, Lin Feng observed her deftly unraveling his sword technique and escaping peril, his heart swelling with admiration. Truly, she was a being of the innate level, swiftly discovering the means to counteract his moves. Moreover, Tang Tian discovered that once engaged in combat, Gu Xiaoxue underwent a profound transformation in her demeanor. The semblance of fragility and innocence vanished entirely, replaced by a fierce and resolute aura imbued with the spirit of battle. She appeared as if two distinct individuals occupied the same form. In this moment, she undeniably embodied the title of a young prodigy. Swiftly, the feather-like sword energy was entirely dissipated by Gu Xiaoxue. Yet, Tang Tian's methods extended beyond mere swordplay. The nature of the wind was ever-changing and elusive. He concealed himself within the wind, and without pinpointing its core, Gu Xiaoxue stood no chance of overcoming him through swordsmanship alone. Observing her once more ensnared in an onslaught, a slight smirk graced Tang Tian's lips. Shall we continue this madness? Shall we persist in this game? Let us see how long you can maintain your arrogance this time. He felt a sense of triumph within him. After all, this girl was exceptionally disheartening. What was even more infuriating was her obliviousness to the impact of her actions on others. That was the most vexing part. Thus, he resolved to impart a lesson. There are always greater forces beyond oneself. Tang Tian became serious, employing a myriad of techniques, determined to ensnare her within the tempestuous sword formation. However, just as he conjured various sword energies, Gu Xiaoxue's figure suddenly vanished within the array. Moments later, a playful laughter resonated in his ear. Found you. Tang Tian was instantly alarmed and unleashed a powerful strike with all his strength. Alas, it met only empty air. Subsequently, a chilling sensation graced his neck. Looking down, he beheld a pale long sword poised at his throat. He had indeed lost. With a sigh, Tang Tian descended gently from the sky. Gu Xiaoxue sheathed her sword and reappeared before him. How did you find me? He inquired, visibly vexed. As he had anticipated trapping her within the sword formation. It was deduced from the movement patterns of the wind, Miss Gu elucidated. Though you ensnared me within the sword formation, each alteration in sword technique originates from the core. After a few iterations, one can discern the location of that core. Nonetheless, you are indeed formidable. Had it been the former version of myself, I might not have identified your position so swiftly. Tang Tian's eyes twitched. The implication of her words suggested that identification was indeed possible. That was rather disheartening. If I were to continuously shift my position, how would you locate the core? He queried again. Gu Xiaoxue replied, it would be the same. As long as you wield your sword, there is a discernible pattern. With sufficient repetitions, it can be successfully located. Moreover, there are various methods to dismantle such a sword formation, including disrupting the environment or severing the nexus. The sword techniques may be myriad, but they ultimately adhere to the principles of swordsmanship. Tang Tian stared, astounded by the depth of her knowledge. Please, do elaborate. This time, he genuinely sought her guidance with humility. Gu Xiaoxue did not withhold her insights and shared her understanding of swordsmanship with Tang Tian. As she spoke, Tang Tian gradually realized that cultivation was an immensely vast realm, seemingly without boundaries. A brand new world slowly unfolded before him. Simultaneously, Tang Tian came to appreciate the profound depth of Gu Xiaoxua's mastery in cultivation. Sometimes, age truly does not signify everything. When an exceptionally gifted individual roots themselves in their field of expertise, miracles are bound to emerge. For the first time, Tang Tian genuinely expressed his gratitude to Elder Zhongyang for introducing such an outstanding talent into his life. Chapter 15. The discourse lasted for the better part of an entire day. During this period, Tang Tian felt as though his soul had undergone a sublime transformation. He finally attained a clear understanding of cultivation. Although he possessed dual systems, embarking on a path that others could scarcely imagine, this newfound awareness was indeed remarkable. After their extensive conversation, Tang Tian began to form a vague notion of his future cultivation journey. Who taught you all this? Tang Tian inquired. Gu Xiaoxue smiled shyly. A portion was taught by elder uncle, but the rest I comprehended on my own. Tang Tian was astonished within. Such innate talent could hardly be described merely as gifted. She seemed like a favored child of the heavens, endowed with a soul cherished by the divine. Contemplating this, Tang Tian found it increasingly perplexing why such an exceptional and pure genius would be casually assigned as his guardian. She even worried about the spirit jade. How is life at the sect? Tang Tian could not resist asking. Gu Xiaoxue replied, it's quite good. After being brought back by elder uncle, I've lived at the main peak, and the senior brothers and sisters have taken good care of me. Later, when the elder entered seclusion, I found a cave abode as per his arrangements, rarely venturing out and mostly focused on my cultivation. I'm on the verge of breaking through to the nascent soul stage, but I can't afford the nascent soul pill. So, on the recommendation of a senior sister, I sought out Elder Zhongyang and chose to become a guardian. And that's how I met you. It sounded as though there were no issues at hand. Yet, Tang Tian felt an underlying intrigue in the situation. However, after much contemplation, he still found no clarity. Perhaps he was overthinking it. Raising his gaze to the sky, he noticed the sun had dipped behind the mountains, casting half the sky in a brilliant hue of red. It was a breathtaking sight. It must be around mealtime, Tang Tian mused. I seem to have forgotten to eat yesterday. It's been 2 days, yet I don't even feel the slightest pang of hunger. Gu Xiaoxue chuckled. We are cultivators. So of course, we don't feel hungry. We can forego meals. Tang Tian shook his head. Then what is the point? Dining is one of the most exquisite pleasures in life. Its absence would render existence rather dull. He rose to his feet, noting that the kitchen was abundantly equipped with pots, pans, and utensils. Come, let me prepare us a delightful dinner, he proposed, leading Gu Xiaoxue to the kitchen. Despite the prolonged vacancy of the space, it remained remarkably pristine, untouched by dust, a testament to the refreshing aura of nature. Fortuitously, there was no need for extensive cleaning. He surveyed the available ingredients. Tang Tian delved into his shumi ring, rummaging through its contents. During his visit to the Jin Yu Tang the previous day, he had acquired a plethora of ordinary resources, including spirit rice, edible spirit herbs, and beast meat. These items resembled commonplace ingredients, requiring only simple preparation. Admittedly, he was not adept at intricate culinary techniques. How about some congee, spicy shredded taro, stir-fried meat with bell peppers, and a refreshing salad of bok choy? Tang Tian swiftly settled on the evening's menu. Gu Xiaoxue giggled. It sounds just like home-cooked meals. Tang Tian smirked. Home-cooked meals are indeed the most delicious. He would never concede to any inadequacies in his culinary skills. Soon, the ingredients were ready, and a fire blazed beneath the earthen stove. Aren't you using spirit fire? Gu Xiaoxue inquired. What fire enhances the flavor? Tang Tian insisted. Then, Gu Xiaoxue squatted down to tend to the fire while Tang Tian prepared the ingredients. If this scene were witnessed by other cultivators, they would surely exclaim in astonishment. What cultivator would engage in such domestic tasks? However, Tang Tian found joy in the endeavor. The sizzling sounds from the oil pan were exceedingly pleasant. Yet, after a plate of darkened shredded potatoes emerged from the stove, their roles were reversed. Tang Tian managed the fire while Gu Xiaoxue took charge of the cooking. Before long, the 3 simple dishes were completed. The pair sat at a stone table beside an ancient well, enveloped in a cozy and serene atmosphere. Your culinary skills are quite impressive, Tang Tian remarked, savoring the dishes. Perhaps due to the quality of the ingredients, the flavors surpassed those of his previous life by several degrees. Oh, it's nothing, Gu Xiaoxue responded with a smile. I merely cooked them until they were done. I used to do this at home when I was little. As she spoke, a glimmer of nostalgia flickered in her eyes. When my parents were out working, I was responsible for washing clothes, cooking, feeding the chickens and ducks, and cleaning the house. My younger brother was quite mischievous and often broke things, so I would tidy up after him. Sometimes, when I couldn't manage it, I would claim responsibility when our parents returned to spare him from punishment. Many years had passed, yet she found herself reminiscing fondly about those days. Tang Tian was at a loss for words. What is there to cherish about that life? Gu Xiaoxue took a bite of her dish. Regardless, it was my home. I loved holding my brother and watching the sunset from the chicken coop. The golden sunlight cascaded upon him, enveloping him in a warm embrace that was undeniably delightful. Yet, it was precisely this comfort that caused him to lose track of time on several occasions, ultimately leading to a rather stern reprimand from his parents. Tang Tian paused momentarily, refraining from uttering a word. Each individual is shaped by their unique environment, and he realized he could not hastily judge Gu Xiaoxue's life through the lens of his own experiences. Such an act would be exceedingly narrow-minded. He now comprehended why Gu Xiaoxue exhibited such maturity, willingly undertaking household chores and preparing meals. These were habits cultivated from a young age. Why did you choose to leave your home and come to Qinghua sect? Tang Tian inquired. Gu Xiaoxue, slightly embarrassed, replied, it wasn't my decision to leave. One day, I encountered elder uncle, who mentioned that I was well suited for cultivation. After discussing it with my parents for a while, they accepted a vial of disaster relief pills and allowed me to depart with elder uncle. Tang Tian felt a pang in his heart. Disaster relief pills were of such a low grade that they scarcely held any value, merely beneficial to mortals in alleviating ailments, worth less than half a piece of spirit jade. To part with their daughter for such a meager offering was indeed disheartening. Did you feel sad at that time? Tang Tian softly asked. Gu Xiaoxue pondered for a moment before breaking into a smile. Well, my parents seemed quite happy. Their happiness brings me joy. After saying this, she continued to savor her meal, taking several more bites of food accompanied by rice porridge. Tang Tian chose not to delve further into this topic. Every family has its own struggles. Not everyone's childhood is as idyllic as one might imagine. However, each person possesses the right to choose their own happiness. In his view, Gu Xiaoxue's early life was fraught with challenges, to the extent that her parents had relinquished her for a mere vial of disaster relief pills. Yet, Gu Xiaoxue harbored a different perspective. Perhaps she chose to retain only the beautiful memories, deeming it unnecessary to tarnish them. This was her chosen happiness. Chapter 16. Breakthrough. After finishing dinner, the sky gradually descended into darkness. Wang Anning communicated via jade slip to inform Tang Tian that there were numerous preparations to be made, and the earliest he could arrive would be by tomorrow morning. Consequently, Tang Tian decided against waiting any longer and retreated to his room. Gu Xiaoxue settled in as well, occupying the adjacent room to the right of the main house. Upon entering the meditation chamber, Tang Tian raised an eyebrow, for it was indeed tranquil, perfectly suited for his daily cultivation. He sat cross-legged and soon entered a state of meditation. Subsequently, he awakened the infinite consumption system. The expenditure from purchasing a house had elevated his consumption points beyond 10,000, surpassing 13,000. He was now eligible to exchange for higher-tier items. After some contemplation, Tang Tian opted to exchange for a talent. 5-ring talent, 10,000 consumption points. Upon successful exchange, the familiar sensation returned, invigorating his entire being. As everything faded into formlessness, Tang Tian commenced his cultivation. As he progressed in his cultivation, 5 ethereal white rings of talent slowly emerged around his body, flickering in brightness and dimness, resonating with the cosmos. Following this, a vast surge of spiritual energy rushed in from all directions, enveloping Tang Tian's being. The quantity and quality of this energy were exponentially greater than what he had experienced during his practice the previous night, amplified by dozens of times. In addition to the enhancement of his innate talent, the spiritual energy concentration in this place was remarkably high, contributing to such extraordinary advancement. Indeed, both talent and the cultivation environment are indispensable for practitioners. Under these circumstances, the speed of cultivation was truly astonishing. Tang Tian could distinctly feel his cultivation level rising rapidly, nearly perceivable to the naked eye. He focused his mind and diligently immersed himself in his training. Several hours passed, and he noted a significant increase in his cultivation at the 3rd level of qi refinement. However, Tang Tian eventually opened his eyes, feeling somewhat dissatisfied. At this rate, he would undoubtedly be unable to break through to the 4th level of qi refinement by nightfall. If ordinary cultivators were to witness his demeanor, they would surely scold him for his audacity. To aspire to elevate a small realm in just one night? Even though the spiritual energy required in the early stages of qi refinement is not substantial, his ambitions seemed excessively lofty. Yet, Tang Tian did not share this sentiment, especially after witnessing the extraordinary talent of Gu Xiaoxue, which intensified his sense of urgency. He had already fallen behind considerably. Without exerting more effort, the gap would only widen further. While innate talent cannot be rapidly achieved, he resolved to seek solutions through other means. After some contemplation, he ultimately retrieved a collection of small porcelain vials from his Shumi ring. These contained high-quality qi refinement pills, body refining pills, and qi tempering pills. which he had procured from the Jin Yu Tang in bulk, all perfectly suited for the qi refinement stage. Since he possessed them, he might as well utilize them. He opened a vial of the superior qi refinement pill and poured out a single white pill. An intense aroma immediately assailed his senses, far surpassing that of the Yang Yuan pill. Without hesitation, he swallowed it. In an instant, a tempest of potent spiritual energy erupted within Tang Tian's abdomen. This storm bore no destructive force. Instead, it rapidly coursed through his meridians, surging forth with vigor. He felt a profound warmth enveloping his entire body as the power of the pills swept throughout him in a single breath. Moments later, all the spiritual energy converged in his dantian, resulting in a slight elevation of his cultivation level. Indeed, this was impressive. Tang Tian marveled at the results. The efficacy of this pill was on an entirely different tier compared to the Yang Yuan pill. It contained the purest essence of spiritual energy, requiring no refinement, allowing for direct absorption into the dantian to enhance his strength. At 100 spirit jade per vial, with 10 pills in each, it was undoubtedly a worthwhile investment. Once more, Tang Tian poured out another qi refinement pill and consumed it, continuing his cultivation in earnest. Before long, a bottle of qi refining pills was entirely consumed. Tang Tian's cultivation level ascended to the pinnacle of the third tier of qi refinement, just one step away from further advancement. However, at this critical juncture, he chose not to proceed, but rather to ingest body refining pills and qi enhancing pills. Merely possessing spiritual energy without a solid foundation would be inadequate. The body refining pills serve to augment physical attributes, eliminating the need for arduous training. Conversely, the qi enhancing pills are intended to elevate the quality of spiritual energy. With equal quantities of spiritual energy, a higher quality naturally results in greater strength. Tang Tian consumed them all, maximizing his overall prowess. Once he felt sufficiently prepared, he opened the second bottle of qi refining pills. Merely one pill shattered the constraints of the third tier of qi refinement, propelling him successfully into the fourth tier. With a long exhale, Tang Tian felt a sense of relief. He had finally broken through. At this moment, he could completely shed the identity of a mere outer disciple and become a true outer disciple of the Qinghua sect. He contemplated the necessity of further elevation. There exists a distinction between an identity acquired through monetary means and one earned through genuine capability. The more, the merrier, he mused. After a rigorous session of cultivation, the night had deepened. Tang Tian rose from the serene chamber of cultivation and returned to his quarters. Lying upon the plush bed, he found himself lacking in sleepiness. For cultivators in the qi refinement stage, going a month without sleep is entirely feasible. Nonetheless, Tang Tian believed that life should not be excessively monotonous. When circumstances allow, indulging in leisure can be a delightful diversion. Spending every day in seclusion, neglecting meals and sleep, would indeed be too dreary. Accompanied by a flurry of thoughts, Tang Tian gradually drifted into slumber. The following day, at dawn, amidst the gentle chirping of birds and rustling of forest creatures, Tang Tian awoke. After lingering in bed for a while, he arose, washed, donned his attire, and stepped outside. The fresh air greeted him, invigorating his senses. Upon reaching the front courtyard, he was astonished to discover that Gu Xiaoxue had, at some point, prepared breakfast and was waiting for him at the stone table. "You're awake. Come have breakfast," Gu Xiaoxue exclaimed with a playful smile. Tang Tian approached, chuckling as he sat down. "Didn't you say you no longer eat?" Gu Xiaoxue arranged the bowls and chopsticks for him, stating, "You said it yourself. Eating is one of the most delightful experiences in life. To forsake it casually would be most unwise." Tang Tian smiled, finding her naively charming. He had merely spoken on a whim the previous day, yet she took it to heart. The table was still adorned with plain rice porridge and a few simple dishes, which Tang Tian sampled, finding them quite palatable. "Cooking, I presume, is not covered in the guardian rules?" Tang Tian teased. Gu Xiaoxue's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She had previously thought that merely memorizing the guardian rules sufficed. As a result of yesterday's experience, not a single item proved useful. Tang Tian shook his head and sighed softly. "In truth, we are merely in an employer-employee relationship. There is no need for you to treat me with such kindness." Gu Xiaoxue, sifting through her meal, muttered quietly, "Whoever is kind to me, I shall reciprocate in kind." "What?" Tang Tian did not catch her words, but Gu Xiaoxue did not repeat herself, instead gesturing for him to hasten his meal, lest it grow cold. A gentle spring breeze blew through the air. Unbeknownst to them, the tender buds on the old locust tree had begun to unfurl and blossom. Chapter 17. The Place of Enlightenment. As the sun rose, following breakfast, Tang Tian and Gu Xiaoxue sat beneath the old locust tree, resuming their discourse from the previous day. Though it was termed a discussion, it primarily consisted of Tang Tian posing questions and Gu Xiaoxue providing answers. In matters of cultivation, Gu Xiaoxue was exceptionally meticulous, addressing every detail with thoroughness. Tang Tian felt as if he had returned to his student days, and his understanding of cultivation deepened with each of Gu Xiaoxue's explanations. After approximately an hour, the communication jade talisman in Tang Tian's possession began to resonate. Upon inspection, he found it was Wang Anning, who had prepared all the renovation materials and was waiting outside Zijou courtyard. Concluding their discussion, Gu Xiaoxue took the formation plate and invited Wang Anning inside. "Young Master Tang, how did you rest yesterday?" Wang Anning inquired with a smile. "Quite well," Tang Tian replied, inviting him to take a seat. "Is everything ready?" Wang Anning nodded, proceeding to unveil the items one by one. 2 strands of Xianling veins were sealed within a substance known as vein stone, radiating starlight and resembling a miniature galaxy. The tail feather lamp, crafted from the tail feathers of the silver shuttle bird, exuded a subtle natural aura. It could be placed anywhere and operated with a simple control spell, consuming no energy and proving exceedingly convenient. Additionally, there were calming jade, seeking stone, and other decorative facilities. "Very well," Tang Tian remarked, "I will handle the upcoming renovations myself." A portion of the items pertained to formations, and for reasons of safety and privacy, it was imperative that others remained unaware. Of course, Wang Anning understood this principle as well. Subsequently, Tang Tian settled the final payment, and the transaction was officially completed. The familiar system notification echoed in his mind, as over 33 million spirit jade was credited to his account, and the mere 3,000 consumption points from the previous night had soared back into the tens of thousands. The 5th-tier physique was now within easy reach. After bidding farewell to Wang Anning, Tang Tian began to arrange his main residence. He entrusted the materials for the guest room entirely to Gu Xiaoxue, allowing her to decorate at her discretion. Tang Tian harbored no inclination to invade another's privacy. However, once all renovations were completed, he did visit Gu Xiaoxue's room for a brief tour, gazing upon the decor, which exuded a youthful charm while maintaining an air of elegance. Tang Tian declined Gu Xiaoxue's offer to tour his exceedingly minimalist abode. Once all the facilities were activated, the ambience for cultivation within the room ascended several notches. Had he practiced in such an environment the previous night, without the need for medicinal pills, Tang Tian could have effortlessly transcended to the 4th level of qi refinement. "What do you think?" Tang Tian inquired with a smile. "Marvelous," Gu Xiaoxue praised. "It far surpasses my humble cave dwelling. While I possess a small spiritual vein of the same grade, it lacks such a rich natural aura. If I were to reside here indefinitely, I would surely advance to the nascent soul stage in no time." Tang Tian chuckled. "Then you should stay here for a while. I don't foresee any pressing matters ahead, nor will I venture out unless absolutely necessary. Focus on your cultivation here." Gu Xiaoxue paused momentarily, asking, "Young Master Tang, aren't you going to the dojo?" Tang Tian was taken aback. "What is a dojo?" Gu Xiaoxue elucidated. "It is a dedicated area in the upper district of Qinghua sect, specifically for the disciples' cultivation. Above the dojo, various formations are meticulously arranged by the sect elders, facilitating a seamless cultivation experience. Additionally, there are specialized quiet rooms for cultivation that yield even better results. While the natural aura in Zijou courtyard is indeed abundant, the dojo remains the superior choice for rapid enhancement of one's abilities." Tang Tian fell silent. He was aware of the specialized cultivation rooms in the upper district of Qinghua sect, but was taken aback by the format described by Gu Xiaoxue. It was evidently a gathering place for the disciples, perhaps even overly crowded. Such environments did not appeal to him. After some contemplation, he replied, "For now, I think I shall pass. My current strength is limited, and the cultivation environment in Zijou courtyard suffices for the time being. We can discuss it later." Gu Xiaoxue appeared somewhat perplexed by Tang Tian's reasoning, yet she eventually nodded in agreement. After all, during the qi refinement stage, there was little distinction between the 2 locations. Furthermore, accessing the effective quiet rooms in the dojo required substantial expenditure of spirit stones, which was quite burdensome. Upon hearing this, Tang Tian's ears perked up. "It costs money?" Gu Xiaoxue confirmed with a nod. "Indeed, a basic quiet room for cultivation costs several hundred spirit stones per day. Coupled with the requisite formations, the total can easily reach several thousand. The expenses escalate significantly for higher-tier rooms. I only consider utilizing the advanced quiet rooms when I am on the verge of a breakthrough. Not going is better, to avoid wasting resources." Tang Tian stood in stunned silence for a moment, pondering how this sect resembled a mundane city, where every service demanded payment. Yet, upon reflection, it made sense. If everything were free, how could such a vast sect sustain its operations? Charging for services seemed to be the norm. After a moment of contemplation, Tang Tian suddenly exclaimed, "Let us go. With such a splendid place available, why should we not pursue it? As cultivators, we must strive to seek the finest resources for our practice." Only then can we reach greater heights. He spoke with resolute conviction. Beside him, Gu Xiaoxue was momentarily taken aback. What just transpired? Who was it that initially said they would not go? Was it her? Ah, indeed it was. Yet, she did not initiate the conversation. Gu Xiaoxue felt her mind struggling to keep pace with Tang Tian's thoughts. A change of heart could not occur so swiftly. Clearing his throat, Tang Tian continued. Do not dwell on the minutiae. Is the Taoist temple far? Gu Xiaoxue scratched her head and replied, not at all. It lies atop the main peak. We shall reach it swiftly. With a grand gesture, Tang Tian declared, then let us depart. Time waits for no one. If you delay your cultivation by even a minute, others will progress ahead of you. With that, he strode purposefully towards the courtyard exit. Observing Tang Tian's sudden fervor, Gu Xiaoxue experienced a moment of enlightenment. It seemed that only when discussing expenditure did he exhibit such enthusiasm. Truly an eccentric young heir. Shaking her head, she hurried to catch up with him. Subsequently, the two figures, one large and one small, departed from the bamboo grove. Shortly after their departure, several young disciples of Qinghua's sect arrived at the entrance of the bamboo grove. Are you certain? Has this place truly been purchased? One female disciple inquired. Of course not. I have been keeping a close watch on such locations. Any signs of activity could never escape my notice, another young male disciple replied. The female disciple gasped in surprise, peering curiously into the bamboo grove. The young male disciple chuckled. Do not linger. The one who bought the bamboo courtyard is a remarkably young scion of a wealthy family, accompanied by only a single guard. He is a new face, undoubtedly just arrived at Qinghua's sect. You have an excellent opportunity to align yourself with him. Do not say I failed to give you a heads up. The female disciple shot him a glare, seemingly irritated by his bluntness. Observing the young man's knowing smile, she produced a vial of unknown elixir and handed it to him. Do not let others learn of this matter. The young man accepted the elixir with a grin. I shall do my utmost. But you must act swiftly, as such information cannot remain concealed for long. He then turned and departed, leaving the female disciple standing at the entrance of the bamboo grove, lost in thought. Had Tang Tian been present, he would have recognized her as Feng Fei, Lin Yu's close confidant. Chapter 18, Top-tier configuration. Upon leaving the bamboo courtyard, Tang Tian hastily ascended the main peak. This marked his first visit to the sect's principal summit since joining Qinghua sect. The mountains tower majestically, with trees casting shadows that obscure the sun. Pavilions and towers are hidden within, shrouded in ethereal mist, resembling a realm of immortals. Under the guidance of Gu Xiaoxue, Tang Tian ascended steadily, ultimately arriving at a vast plaza situated halfway up the mountain. The sight before him left Tang Tian utterly astounded. The immense plaza seemed to stretch endlessly. At its center stood a colossal statue, with individuals gathered at its base, unable to even reach the height of its toes. The statue loomed high, its upper portion enshrined within thick clouds, rendering its features indistinguishable. Yet above the clouds, an expansive Taiji Bagua diagram floated in the sky, enveloping the entire plaza in its presence. Disciples of Qinghua sect sat in concentric circles around the statue, perfectly aligned. This scene was profoundly awe-inspiring. Is that our sect's ancestor? Tang Tian inquired of Gu Xiaoxue. She shook her head. No? Very few know who he truly is, and one should not inquire carelessly. The elders have told me that he represents a kind of taboo existence. Unwarranted speculation could lead to calamity. Tang Tian was taken aback. What was the meaning of this? The Qinghua sect's sanctuary did not honor its own ancestor, but instead venerated a forbidden figure. Was it simply a matter of embracing the new? Tang Tian pondered this, then quickly restrained his thoughts. Inviting disaster upon oneself would be ill-advised. Nonetheless, it was evident that the Qinghua sect was imbued with an unusual aura. Retracting his gaze, Tang Tian and Gu Xiaoxue smoothly entered the sanctuary. Upon entering, Tang Tian immediately sensed a stark contrast to the atmosphere of the purple bamboo courtyard. The energy of cultivation was exceptionally intense. Just as Gu Xiaoxue had stated, the sanctuary was indeed the most suitable place for daily cultivation. In contrast, the purple bamboo courtyard was more appropriate for self-cultivation and introspection. Tang Xiao, which area would you like to go to? Gu Xiaoxue asked. If you wish to cultivate in the plaza, you merely need to find an empty spot to sit. However, if you desire to use a cultivation chamber, you must rent a key from the Wendaoge, located behind the statue. Tang Tian smiled. Of course, I aim for the cultivation chamber. I am eager to see the remarkable effects of the highest grade room. Having made his decision, the two of them followed the stone path along the edge of the sanctuary, arriving at the Wendaoge. By this time, it was already mid-morning, and those disciples with needs had long completed their rentals, leaving the interior relatively empty. They soon found a responsible individual, and Tang Tian expressed his intent. Upon observing Tang Tian's attire, the individual inquired courteously, What type of cultivation chamber would you like to rent, fellow cultivator? Tang Tian contemplated before responding, as this is my first visit. I would like to take a look first. Subsequently, the person in charge presented all the information regarding the cultivation chambers to Tang Tian. The prices were as follows: primary cultivation chamber, 500 spirit stones per day; intermediate cultivation chamber, 3,000 spirit stones per day; advanced cultivation chamber, 20,000 spirit stones per day; top tier cultivation chamber, 100,000 spirit stones per day; Dao level cultivation chamber, 1,000,000 spirit stones per day. Furthermore, all aforementioned cultivation chambers could be equipped with auxiliary formations of varying levels, such as the spirit gathering formation and the spirit tempering formation, with prices ranging from 100 to 100,000 spirit stones per day. As Tang Tian surveyed the listed prices, a smile gradually emerged on his lips. Eventually, he spoke with nonchalance. Provide me with the highest configuration, the Dao level cultivation chamber, along with the utmost grade of auxiliary formations, everything. Upon hearing this, an abrupt silence enveloped the room, soon followed by two incredulous gasps. What? Gu Xiaoxue exclaimed, her eyes wide, while the person in charge stood frozen in astonishment. The highest configuration, all of it, Tang Tian reiterated. The person in charge, finally regaining his composure, stammered, "My apologies, friend. While you hold the esteemed title of Advanced Honorary Disciple, your cultivation level is merely at the 4th layer of Qi refining. For that level, we recommend you stick to the intermediate cultivation chamber. Anything beyond that exceeds your capacity to harness effectively." Tang Tian chuckled lightly. "Thank you for your concern, but I would advise against offering me suggestions. I have a preference for the highest specifications." The person in charge was momentarily rendered speechless, unable to respond. Gu Xiaoxue quickly tugged at Tang Tian, whispering, "Tang Xiao, please heed his advice. Exceeding the configuration of the intermediate cultivation chamber truly yields minimal benefit. The Dao level is specifically designed for those in the tribulation stage. Do not squander your resources." Gu Xiaoxue earnestly implored him, looking into her sincere eyes. Tang Tian nodded and said, "You are right." He then turned towards the person in charge. "I almost forgot to mention. The top configuration I referred to is for 2 sets, one for each of us. Do not make any mistakes." Gu Xiaoxue was taken aback. "What? I was right? Are you even listening to yourself? It seems you have absorbed none of my words. Tang Xiao, please reconsider." With a sigh, Tang Tian reflected on her qualities. She was admirable in every aspect, yet excessively innocent and kind-hearted. If she were of a different disposition, she would likely have proactively sought a set for herself before he could even voice his desire. "There's no need to persuade me further," Tang Tian said gently. "My motivations for this endeavor extend beyond mere financial considerations. I have my own reasons. Consider this as my expression of gratitude for the breakfast you prepared for me today." He could not disclose the true reason to Gu Xiaoxue, so he could only explain it in this manner. Gu Xiaoxue appeared somewhat dazed, her thoughts a mystery to herself. Thankfully, she remained obedient and refrained from further persuasion. Tang Tian let out a slight sigh. It seemed imperative to avoid similar situations in the future to prevent the young girl from feeling pressured. Individuals like Gu Xiaoxue tend to place immense value on kindness. Tang Tian had no desire to shamelessly admit that he had acted solely for her benefit. "Are you certain you require the Dao level training chamber?" the person in charge inquired. Tang Tian nodded affirmatively. "Indeed, 2 sets in total, and I require the highest configuration for the formations." "What will be the total cost?" After calculating, the person replied, "Based on your specifications, it will be 470,000 spirit jade per day for routine expenses." Tang Tian furrowed his brow and asked, "Is it possible to rent for an extended period at once? Less than 5 million feels somewhat inadequate." The person inhaled deeply. "Certainly. You can rent for a maximum of 1 year. However, during this year, whether or not you utilize the training chamber, the fees will continue to accrue." Tang Tian glanced at his wallet, which had surpassed 300 million, calculating that it would suffice for exactly 2 months. "Then let us begin with 2 months, he decided. Chapter 19. The Secret Art of the Green Python. After completing the formalities, Tang Tian received 2 tokens granting access to the Dao level training chambers. He then departed the Wendaoge with Gu Xiaoxue. Along the way, Gu Xiaoxue appeared somewhat withdrawn, as if the earlier incident had left a slight impact on her. Tang Tian pondered briefly before asking, "What troubles you?" Gu Xiaoxue lowered her head and murmured, "No one has ever been this kind to me." Observing her demeanor, Tang Tian furrowed his brow. Cast aside such foolish thoughts. His tone abruptly shifted to one of sternness. "Listen, in this world, no one will treat you with kindness without a motive. If someone does, it is invariably for their own gain. If you continue down this path, you will inevitably plunge yourself into despair. Do you understand?" Tang Tian admonished. He did not consider himself a virtuous person, nor did he aspire to embody the archetype of a traditional Good Samaritan. Yet, he maintained a profound respect and admiration for those who genuinely harbored goodwill. He truly wished to prevent Gu Xiaoxue from ruining her life due to her innocence and kindness. The sudden reprimand took Gu Xiaoxue by surprise. She gazed at Tang Tian in a daze, and after a long moment, she slowly replied, "And what about you? Do you have ulterior motives regarding me as well?" Tang Tian let out a soft snort and turned his head away. "I am different. What you perceive as my kindness is not at all what you imagine it to be. As I previously mentioned, the reason I have rented the cultivation quiet room for you is driven by my own motives, rather than any concern for you. Do not naively assume that my actions are for your benefit. Do you understand?" Gu Xiaoxue was momentarily taken aback, ultimately lowering her head and murmuring, "All right, I comprehend." Tang Tian exhaled, stating, "From this moment onward, regarding matters of the spirit jade, I implore you not to voice any further opinions. Your sole responsibility is to memorize the Guardian's Code and fulfill your duties as a protector according to its guidance." Gu Xiaoxue nodded in acknowledgement. However, just as Tang Tian believed he had conveyed his message clearly, feeling a twinge of guilt for his earlier words, Gu Xiaoxue slowly raised her head and inquired, "Will you still eat the breakfast I prepare for you?" Tang Tian, feeling a flicker of annoyance for the first time towards Gu Xiaoxue, thought, "This stubborn girl is truly unyielding." Upon entering the cultivation quiet room, he promptly tossed the formation plate to her and swiftly retreated into his own chamber. After sitting cross-legged for a considerable time, he gradually calmed his emotions. Perhaps it is indeed unethical to forcibly alter the disposition of a pure and innocent girl. Let it be. With the passage of time, she will eventually grasp the harsh realities of the world. Having soothed his thoughts, Tang Tian prepared to commence his cultivation for the day. It must be said, this top-tier cultivation room is truly remarkable. Merely breathing in the air, he could sense the delicate strands of pure spiritual energy quietly nurturing his body. Prolonged exposure to such an environment would undoubtedly yield significant benefits for his cultivation. Naturally, given the exorbitant daily rate, it must offer commensurate value. Familiarizing himself with his surroundings, Tang Tian did not rush into cultivation. Instead, he awakened the infinite consumption system. Following the recent transaction, he had accrued over 28,000 consumption points, supplemented by points obtained from renovation materials, bringing the total to over 20,000. Should he complete the payment for a year's rent, he would acquire an additional 140,000 consumption points. However, beyond that, it was uncertain when he would have the opportunity for further substantial expenditures. The system prioritizes talent and exchanges, thus he was unable to redeem the 6th-tier physique. In that case, it would be more prudent to secure the 5th-tier physique first and address the remainder later. With clarity in mind, Tang Tian opted for the exchange. 5th-tier physique, 10,000 consumption points. The system's notifications soon chimed. Exchange successful. The system will randomly select a type of 5th-tier physique. Upon successful selection, congratulations. You have acquired the bloodline of the Great Wilderness Azure Python. Accompanied by the sound of successful exchange, a familiar wave of heat enveloped his entire being. In a daze, Tang Tian felt as though he had transcended to the Great Wilderness, transforming into a colossal azure python spanning the mountain peaks. With a subtle undulation of his form, towering trees crashed to the ground, and countless beasts perished on the spot. The green python opened its massive jaws, and a sudden gust of wind swept through, devouring the flesh and blood of all the demonic beasts within its reach. Moments later, Tang Tian regained his senses from the scene he had just witnessed, appearing contemplative. It seemed that what he had witnessed was a form of inherited secret technique. When a being reaches a certain level of power, some of the secret arts it masters can be passed down through its bloodline. Regardless of how many generations pass, this inheritance persists. If the bloodline of the descendants is particularly pure, the inherited secret technique will manifest, becoming naturally under their control. The ability of the green python to consume other demonic beasts appeared to be such an inherited secret technique. After pondering this, Tang Tian raised one hand, fingers slightly splayed. Suddenly, a powerful suction force emanated from his palm, stirring the air ahead and generating a fierce airflow. The strength of this airflow astonishingly surpassed that of the fully cultivated gale sword technique. Startled, Tang Tian quickly recalled the secret technique. This power exceeded his expectations by a wide margin. Could this be considered a hidden trump card? A faint smile crossed Tang Tian's face. This green python technique could undoubtedly serve as a powerful asset. However, he still felt that he had not fully inherited the essence of the green python's secret technique. Merely scratching the surface. Would it be worthwhile to attempt using the insight feature in the system? With 10,000 points remaining, he promptly chose to redeem them. One instance of intermediate insight, 10,000 points. Intermediate insight allows one to elevate the realm of martial arts at the Xian level or below by one stage. Upon redeeming the points, Tang Tian applied the insight to the green python technique. Yet, the system's notification rang out once more. The target martial arts level is too high to perform insight. Please redeem a higher level. Insight failed. Nevertheless, a delighted smile adorned Tang Tian's face. It was simply a matter of insufficient level. It did not mean that insight was impossible. Once he possessed enough points, there would come a day when he could elevate the green python technique to its utmost potential, perhaps even standing equal to the ancient python ancestor. Very well. Tang Tian satisfactorily exited the system interface. Subsequently, 5 rings of talent ascended, and Tang Tian commenced his cultivation for the day. Chapter 20. Strange actions. Time flew by swiftly. Before long, it was already evening. In the dojo, within the quiet room for Dao-level cultivation, Tang Tian sat cross-legged upon a mat. 5 rings of talent quietly hovering around him, flickering in intensity. With each breath, a substantial amount of pure spiritual energy surged into his body. Having just broken through to the 4th level of qi refinement, his cultivation continued to rise steadily. After a brief moment, Tang Tian opened his eyes. Still a little short. After a day's worth of cultivation, supplemented by various medicinal pills, Tang Tian had reached the pinnacle of the 4th level of qi refinement. It wouldn't be long before he successfully broke through to the 5th level. Such a pace of advancement has far exceeded that of an ordinary practitioner endowed with the 5-ring talent. There is no denying that the resources at his disposal are extraordinarily formidable. The effects of the Dao-level cultivation chamber have propelled him to the very limits of what the qi refining stage can accommodate. Moreover, an array of invisible Daoist fluctuations envelopes Tang Tian's body, a grand formation specifically designed for practitioners in the tribulation stage. Although Tang Tian is currently unable to utilize it, it subtly facilitates his cultivation progress. Compared to the Zizhu courtyard, the difference is indeed remarkable. Perhaps it is best to leave further contemplation for tomorrow. Casting a glance at the time, Tang Tian resolved to conclude his training for the day. Upon exiting the cultivation chamber, he activated the communication jade talisman for Gu Xiaoxue. Soon, her figure emerged from another training room. Are you not planning to cultivate for a bit longer? This is a Dao-level cultivation chamber. After all, Gu Xiaoxue inquired. Observing her return to her previous demeanor, Tang Tian retorted with a hint of annoyance. Staying up late is detrimental to your health. Let us head home. With that, he took the lead in departing, while Gu Xiaoxue obediently followed behind. After a moment of silence, Tang Tian could not resist asking, "How do you feel?" Gu Xiaoxue exclaimed. "Wonderful. I previously thought that a high-level cultivation chamber would merely have a higher concentration of spiritual energy compared to a regular one. Now I realize it harbors a wealth of Daoist principles, and guided by these principles, I have identified numerous areas for improvement within myself. Furthermore, the Dao-level chamber directly connects to the heavens and the earth, the sun, moon, and stars, imparting an exhilarating sensation of being at the center of the world. It is truly marvelous." Tang Tian, however, wore a bewildered expression. "Is that so? Are you certain we entered chambers of the same level?" Instantly feeling disheartened, he lamented, as this girl has an uncanny ability to deliver blows to his self-esteem. Upon reaching the outer dojo, Tang Tian returned to the Wendaoge. The previous supervisor was still present, and upon seeing Tang Tian's return, a smile brightened his face. "Have you finished your training, fellow Daoist? How does it feel?" he inquired politely. Tang Tian regarded him and, emulating Gu Xiaoxue's tone, replied, "It's fantastic. However, I feel that 2 months is far too brief. I would like to extend it for another 4 months." The supervisor, however, secretly hoped to witness Tang Tian regret his choice and display signs of frustration. Unfortunately for him, he was destined for disappointment. "As you wish." The transaction was swiftly completed. Tang Tian glanced at his wallet and continued, "No, that sensation was just too exquisite. 4 months is insufficient. Grant me an additional 6 months. So it totals a full year." The supervisor was at a loss for words. "Brother, what do you think this is? Are we merely rounding up the numbers?" Even those cultivators preparing for seclusion during their tribulation period do not engage in such practices. Typically, they might rent for half a year and extend for another half, if unsuccessful. Observing that Tang Tian appeared earnest, the person in charge could only acquiesce. "Very well. You possess wealth, so you are indeed formidable." The renewal process was smoothly completed, and Tang Tian's wallet swelled rapidly, surpassing 2 billion. Similarly, his expenditure reached over 160,000. The 6th grade talent was now firmly within his grasp. Tang Tian, in high spirits, expressed his gratitude to the person in charge before departing the dojo with Gu Xiaoxue. However, instead of hurrying back to the purple bamboo courtyard, he made his way down the mountain, Arriving at the area where outer disciples and miscellaneous disciples converged, the disciples' hall. This was the place for promotion to outer disciples. The criteria for advancement were quite straightforward. One only needed to cultivate to the 4th layer of qi refinement or higher, with a sound mental state, to be promoted smoothly. Tang Tian had met the requirements. Nevertheless, his appearance drew the attention of many. After all, it was quite unusual for a high-ranking honorary disciple to participate in the promotion to outer disciples. The reason was simple. With such wealth, one could easily amass resources to reach the foundation establishment stage. What affluent heir remains in kindergarten at 18? However, they were astonished to discover that not only was there such a person, but upon inspection, Tang Tian's cultivation level was a meager 4th layer of qi refinement. Could he possibly be an ordinary body? Who knows? Considering his age, it was rather surprising that he had only reached the 4th layer. Would his family even invest such resources in someone like him? A 5 million high-ranking honorary disciple. This world is terrifyingly unfair. In the realm of cultivation, strength is paramount. Although Tang Tian clearly possessed immense financial resources, he still garnered a plethora of disdainful glances. Tang Tian remained unfazed. In fact, he welcomed the situation, for it would lead others to misjudge his true capabilities, thereby placing him in a relatively safe environment. Indeed, he feared death. There was nothing shameful about admitting this. The cultivation world is fraught with peril. A moment's inattention could cost one their life. Life is the most precious of treasures, and Tang Tian did not wish to squander it due to his own carelessness. He had yet to fully enjoy its wonders. If possible, he would even be willing to bide his time until he became invincible before making his grand entrance. After successfully passing the cultivation assessment, Tang Tian was duly recognized as an outer disciple. Only then did he return to the purple bamboo forest with Gu Xiaoxue. As they traversed the secluded path, they arrived before the array. Suddenly, a figure on the periphery of the array captured Tang Tian's attention. A woman clad in sheer fabric lay motionless at the edge of a formation, her attire disheveled, suggesting she had encountered some misfortune. Go and take a look, instructed Tang Tian, urging Gu Xiaoxue to investigate. As she approached, an unusual expression crossed her face, signaling to Tang Tian that there was no imminent danger, prompting him to join her. Upon getting a clearer view of the woman's visage, Tang Tian gasped in astonishment. What? It's actually her? The woman was none other than Fang Fei. Do you know her? Gu Xiaoxue inquired, perplexed. Tang Tian nodded. We crossed paths a few days ago, and my impression of her was not particularly favorable. What has happened to her? She appears to be injured and unconscious. Gu Xiaoxue pursed her lips. Yes? On the surface it seems so. However, she has likely consumed a rare elixir known as the hidden vein pill. I only learned of it by chance. After taking the hidden vein pill, it creates an illusion of damaged meridians and physical weakness, but with the antidote, one can recover instantly. Tang Tian was taken aback for a moment. Such an elixir exists? Why would Fang Fei take it? He lowered his gaze, noticing her disheveled state, which inadvertently revealed patches of her fair skin, leaving him momentarily speechless. What peculiar antics is she engaged in? Chapter 21. Ruthless revelation. Find a way to awaken her. Tang Tian stated, wishing to avoid entanglements with someone like Fang Fei. Gu Xiaoxue stepped forward, performing a peculiar incantation, and gently touched Fang Fei's forehead. Moments later, Fang Fei stirred, groaning softly as she regained consciousness. What has happened to me? My head feels so dizzy, she murmured, her gaze unfocused and her demeanor frail. As she propped herself up, her garment slipped slightly, exposing more of her delicate skin. What are you doing here? Tang Tian asked. I was injured, she replied. I heard that this purple bamboo forest has healing properties, so I came to try it out. But as I wandered, I unknowingly stumbled into a formation. And the next thing I knew, I was lost. With a delicate hand resting on her forehead, she appeared utterly helpless. Her voice, now markedly different from their previous encounter at the Jinyutang, raised Tang Tian's suspicions. Is it not exhausting to maintain such a strained tone? Observing her demeanor, he surmised her intentions. Was this all an elaborate performance to draw attention to herself? Indeed, anyone capable of acquiring the purple bamboo courtyard must possess considerable wealth, which often signifies status and influence. It was not uncommon for certain young women to struggle with restraint. However, Fang Fei, could you not have conducted a bit more research before embarking on such a scheme? Tang Tian, lacking any interest in playing her game, spoke coolly. Fang Fei, what exactly do you intend to achieve? Upon hearing her name called, Fang Fei froze momentarily. Suddenly, she felt that this voice seemed familiar, as if she had heard it before. Her heart skipped a beat as she slowly raised her head, momentarily frozen in place. Is it you? How could you be here? Fang Fei was utterly astonished, her voice faltering as she reverted to her true self. Tang Tian chuckled. This question should be posed to you. What are you doing outside my courtyard? If I recall correctly, Ordinary disciples are not permitted to wander into the bamboo grove. Fang Fei's expression was one of disbelief, as if she could not comprehend the situation. Her eyes reflected incredulity as she exclaimed, "How is this possible? You, a mere servant who has gained a little fortune, cannot possibly have purchased the bamboo courtyard." Tang Tian replied coldly, "First of all, whether I bought the bamboo courtyard has nothing to do with you. Secondly, I am now an outer disciple, and moreover, I hold the esteemed title of a senior honorary disciple of Qinghua sect. Finally, leave at once, or I shall notify the law enforcement hall." Fang Fei stared, momentarily at a loss. She had intended to expose Tang Tian's true nature, but her attention was drawn to the gilded purple robe he wore. Indeed, it was the emblem of a senior honorary disciple, and no one dared impersonate such a status within Qinghua sect. In that instant, her emotions were tumultuous. She never anticipated that after all her scheming and the exorbitant price she had paid, it would be the once despised Tang Tian who stood before her. "Will you leave on your own, or shall I have someone throw you out?" Tang Tian issued his ultimatum. Fang Fei's expression shifted, suddenly adopting a most pitiful demeanor. Her voice quivering as she implored, "Tang Tian, young Master Tang, you truly misunderstand me. I harbor no disdain for you. It is all that Lin Yu's fault. She has always spoken ill of you in my presence, leading to my misconceptions. I am genuinely injured, unable to circulate my meridians. Have mercy, allow me to rest here. I do not wish to enter the courtyard. If I return, my fate will surely be dire." Fang Fei's voice was filled with sorrow, her brow furrowed in despair. Had her target been an unsuspecting youth, perhaps her ploy would have succeeded. Alas, Tang Tian was no novice. "I grant you 3 breaths of time." He remained indifferent. "Please listen to me, young Master Tang." Fang Fei was still unwilling to concede, shifting her body forward, her neckline lowering with the movement. Yet, another figure appeared before her, blocking her path. It was Gu Xiaoxue, silent yet formidable, her gaze icy as she fixed her stare upon Fang Fei, embodying the essence of a competent guard. "Only 2 breaths remain," Tang Tian stated blandly. Fang Fei bit her lip, seemingly contemplating one last attempt at resistance. However, she found herself unable to breach Gu Xiaoxue's barrier. With no other choice, she could only utter an apology before stumbling away from the bamboo grove. After she departed, Tang Tian shook his head and activated the formation to enter the purple bamboo courtyard. "I finally adhered to the guard regulations for once. Otherwise, I would feel as though I had accomplished nothing, somewhat unworthy of the generous salary I receive." Upon returning, Gu Xiaoxue resumed her former demeanor, grinning as she spoke. Tang Tian replied with a smile, "That is merely a facade. Without your presence, the conflict with Jia Meng and the others yesterday morning would have been inevitable. While conducting affairs at Qinghua Gate, I would have faced countless disturbances. Your existence has allowed me to sidestep those trivial annoyances." Gu Xiaoxue, somewhat perplexed, inquired, "But the esteemed disciples I have encountered, even when alone, rarely face any affronts. It seems that ordinary disciples are quite wary of them." Tang Tian shook his head, saying, "They are merely afraid of the attire they wear. This purple robe signifies ample financial resources and an obscure background. However, if one's personal strength is lacking, all of that becomes irrelevant, and there will always be someone willing to test the waters. That would lead to an abundance of troubles." Gu Xiaoxue nodded thoughtfully. She then remarked, "The woman from earlier was so insincere. At a glance, her demeanor was clearly feigned. Surely, no one would fall for such a charade." Tang Tian rubbed his nose, contemplating. He actually believed Fang Fei's performance to be quite skillful, had she been an unfamiliar woman, unaware of her use of the concealed vein. His attitude would not have been as harsh as it had been. Could it be that women truly understand each other best? "You are right, her acting was subpar." Tang Tian concurred. "Her attempts to approach you must be driven by ulterior motives. Why can't she pursue a more straightforward path?" Gu Xiaoxue commented, clearly disapproving of Fang Fei's earlier actions. Tang Tian replied, "Everyone has their own means of survival. I seldom judge such matters. Let us not dwell on her. Rest well. We shall return to the dojo for training tomorrow." With that, the two retreated to their respective chambers. The moon hung high in the sky. A woman sat cross-legged amidst the forest, her aura shifting continuously. It was Fang Fei. After a brief moment, she opened her eyes, her injuries having fully receded, returning to her original form. "Damn you, Tang Tian," she seethed, her eyes glinting with resentment. "What of your wealth? You will always remain a mere lowly servant in the chi refinement stage. If I cannot deal with you, can others not do so as well? To insult me twice, I shall ensure you pay the price." Fang Fei gazed coldly into the distance, as if resolved to make a momentous decision. "And Lin Yu, it is because of you that I have forged enmity with Tang Tian. You vile wretches, you shall all await the reckoning." Chapter 22. The arrival of Qin Hai at the break of dawn the following day. Tang Tian, accompanied by Gu Xiaoxue, arrived at the main peak's dojo. The night prior, He had expended a substantial sum of 100,000 consumption points to successfully exchange for the sixth ring talent. Today, he was poised to test its efficacy. After a rigorous session of cultivation, the disparity between his current abilities and those of the fifth ring talent became starkly evident. With the enhancement provided by the Tao-level cultivation chamber, it was anticipated that he would break through to the fifth layer of qi refinement by day's end. This prospect exhilarated Tang Tian, for strength was his foremost concern. In the ensuing weeks, Tang Tian found himself at a standstill, unable to discover additional avenues for expenditure. While opportunities existed, they were meager, and he deemed the paltry sums of 1,000,000 insignificant. Thus, during this period, he traversed between the dojo and the Zizhu courtyard, where the saturated cultivation environment and ample medicinal aids facilitated a rapid ascension in his prowess. By the end of the first day, he had reached the fifth layer of qi refinement. On the third day, he advanced to the sixth layer, and by the seventh, he had attained the seventh layer. As more than half a month elapsed, Tang Tian found himself at the pinnacle of the 10th layer of qi refinement. With another fortnight, he anticipated achieving the grand completion of the 13th layer, positioning himself to challenge the foundation establishment realm. Such velocity of progress was unfathomable to the former Tang Tian. It was worth noting that Lin Yu, who possessed a fifth ring talent, had required nearly a year to break through to foundation establishment and successfully enter the inner sect. With Tang Tian's current rate of advancement, he was quickly closing the gap. Moreover, Tang Tian utilized his consumption points to acquire a plethora of mundane enlightenment sessions, mastering dozens of ordinary spells. Among these were combat spells such as Flame Palm, Wave Step, and Diamond Fist, as well as practical spells like Spirit Fire Technique, Rain Summoning Technique, and Object Retrieval from Afar. Without exception, he had perfected them all. This endeavor not only diversified his combat repertoire and enhanced his daily convenience, but, more importantly, deepened his understanding of the path of cultivation through the various types of spells. The results were undeniably fruitful. The current Tang Tian was no longer the naive neophyte he once was. During discussions on the Tao with Gu Xiaoxue, he was no longer merely a student receiving instruction. He could engage in debate, and at times, even astonish Gu Xiaoxue, who would exclaim in admiration at his undeniable talent for cultivation. To this, Tang Tian would merely smile serenely and respond, "Basic skills, do not underestimate." As time passed, Tang Tian's overall strength surged, propelling him onto the grand stage of the cultivation world. At the Zizhu courtyard, an intense duel was fervently unfolding. With a swift motion, Tang Tian thrust his sword forward, instantly positioning it before Gu Xiaoxue's chest. Yet, Gu Xiaoxue remained composed, raising her sword to counter with a swift strike, her blade meeting the tip of Tang Tian's sword. However, to her astonishment, at the moment their blades made contact, Tang Tian's form became ethereal, before erupting in a resounding explosion, vanishing without a trace. In the next moment, a dense wave of black flames surged from all directions, wildly entwining around Gu Xiaoxue's body. With a slight furrow of her brow, she swiftly formed a hand seal, and a chilling aura descended, extinguishing the black flames entirely. However, at that very instant, a colossal fist descended from the heavens, carrying an immense force aimed directly at her. Gu Xiaoxue's gaze sharpened, her aura suddenly becoming fierce as she leapt forward, charging headlong with her sword drawn. Boom! With a thunderous explosion, the fist, forged from spiritual energy, shattered into fragments, revealing Tang Tian's figure within. Just as he prepared to cast another spell, a voice echoed in his ear. It was too late. A familiar icy sensation brushed against his neck, fleeting as a whisper. With a soft sigh, Tang Tian slowly descended from the sky. "I still cannot surpass you," he lamented. Gu Xiaoxue replied, "You have already performed remarkably. I never expected you to master such a multitude of spells, all cultivated to the level of great perfection. I have never encountered a talent more formidable than you. Truly, you far surpass me." Tang Tian scoffed, "Then why did I lose?" Gu Xiaoxue elucidated, "Although you possess numerous spells, your lack of combat experience results in certain deficiencies in adjustment, coordination, and on-the-spot judgment. Yet your rate of progress is astonishingly rapid. I foresee that it won't be long before, with merely spells of the same level, I shall find myself defeated by you." Tang Tian responded with an "Oh." To summarize, her words implied that while he was not yet proficient, his speed of advancement was commendable, and with a bit more effort, he would soon see her concede. "Then you must practice with me more often," Tang Tian remarked. Subsequently, they returned to the stone table, engaging in a discussion regarding the critical aspects to be mindful of during their recent battle. Suddenly, Tang Tian's communication jade symbol lit up. Upon retrieving it, he raised an eyebrow. It was Qin Hai. Previously, they had agreed that within half a month, Qin Hai would bring a batch of training resources as a litmus test for their trading channel. However, It seemed that Qin Hai had encountered some difficulties, leading to a delay of several days. He wondered how matters stood now. Tang Tian activated the communication jade symbol. Young Master Tang, I am ready on my end. Please confirm the time and location for the transaction, came Qin Hai's voice. Finally, some progress, Tang Tian mused. Can you enter the Qinghua sect? Yes, Qin Hai replied. We have an existing agreement with the Qinghua sect. With an invitation, we can access the relevant areas. Tang Tian pondered for a moment, then said, Very well. I will send someone to Jinyu Tang to find you. The communication concluded. You should make the trip. Tang Tian remarked to Gu Xiaoxue. Exercise caution when dealing with such individuals. Do not divulge any of our other matters indiscriminately. Gu Xiaoxue nodded in understanding. Soon, she departed from the purple bamboo courtyard with the array token in hand. After approximately half an hour, she returned, accompanied by Qin Hai. Tang Xiao, it has been a while, Qin Hai greeted warmly. Tang Tian offered a slight smile, gesturing for him to take a seat. Qin Hai settled himself before Tang Tian, while Gu Xiaoxue quietly stood behind him. I sincerely apologize, Qin Hai began. Initially, I believed a fortnight would suffice, but upon learning that you had made an extravagant rental of the purple bamboo courtyard, I felt the preparations I had made were inadequate for your status. Thus, I took a few more days to acquire some more exquisite items. Tang Tian stroked his chin thoughtfully. Oh, you seem quite well informed. Qin Hai chuckled. After all, in this line of work, one must possess reliable channels of information. You may not be aware, but word has begun to spread that a top-tier wealthy young man has recently arrived at the Qinghua sect, lavishing money freely. Many are eager to learn more about you. Tang Tian smiled, but remained silent. He had anticipated such developments. His spending habits would invariably become a topic of discussion wherever he went. Although he personally preferred to maintain a low profile, he was compelled to spend in a manner that warranted recognition. Qin Hai's mention of this matter likely stemmed from a concern that he might have discovered alternative trading avenues. Is that so? I'm not yet fully informed, Tang Tian replied. However, I find myself more intrigued by the items you have brought today. I hope they will meet my expectations. Qin Hai beamed. That is only natural. Chapter 23. Breaking the 100 billion after a brief exchange. Qin Hai produced a beautifully crafted shumi ring. Please take a look. This has been dispatched from the headquarters of Jinyu Tang, tailored to your specifications, encompassing various levels and types of items. Tang Tian nodded, accepting the shumi ring and probing within with his consciousness. Instantly, a vast space unfolded before him, filled with boxes of assorted sizes, each meticulously labeled to describe their contents. Alchemical pills, spiritual artifacts, talismans, medicinal herbs, materials for refining, spiritual grasses and fruits, heavenly treasures, and more were all present. Additionally, a plethora of jade slips containing various levels of martial arts techniques sparkled within the space. If one were to transport this substantial collection to the outside world, it could easily establish a small sect. It appears satisfactory. How much is it in total? Tang Tian inquired. Qin Hai responded with a smile. Considering your remarkable financial capacity, I took the liberty of preparing a bit extra to round it up. The total comes to precisely 500 million. Tang Tian paused momentarily. Subsequently, he let out a sigh and said, I am pleased that you can bring these items, but I find the price you mentioned quite unsatisfactory. After a series of operations involving renting, renovating, and establishing the dojo, Tang Tian's spiritual jade had surpassed 2 billion. A mere 500 million was insufficient to pique his interest. Noticing Tang Tian's apparent displeasure, Qin Hai hastily inquired, Are you suggesting that it is too expensive? Tang Tian cast him a sidelong glance. I had previously considered you a promising partner. However, should you continue to underestimate me, our fates may well diverge here. Qin Hai was taken aback, grasping the implication of Tang Tian's words. So it was that he deemed the offer too meager. While he could somewhat understand his discontent when spending 10 million previously, this time it was 500 million, yet he still found it lacking. Ultimately, it was a narrow perspective that constrained his vision. Such individuals, who spent money like flowing water, could not be assessed through conventional lenses. Nevertheless, he quickly donned a more radiant smile. He had long heard of young Master Tang's substantial wealth, and it was indeed as he had anticipated. Thus, the time and effort I have invested these past few days have not been in vain. Qin Hai chuckled. Tang Tian, puzzled, asked, What do you mean? Qin Hai once again produced a sumi ring. The 500 million worth of items within was originally intended for our transaction. However, upon learning that you had rented the Zizhu courtyard and the Dao-level meditation chamber, I surmised that those items may no longer be worthy of your status. Thus, I submitted a request to the headquarters for a selection of superior treasures. This is why I could not fulfill our agreement on time. Tang Tian lightly tapped his fingers on the table. You are aware of the dojo's affairs? Qin Hai nodded. Of course. Your name has spread throughout our circle. Tang Tian remained silent. He had been engrossed in his cultivation and had not paid much attention to external matters. He had not anticipated becoming something of a minor celebrity. Yet, it was somewhat expected. Very well, let me see what you have meticulously prepared. Tang Tian picked up the second Sumi ring and probed within with his spiritual sense. The contents were few, with 5 exquisite boxes placed at the center. Above each box was an introduction to the treasures within. Fei Yu Huan Yunju, a top-grade Earth-level movement technique, valued at 1.5 billion spiritual jade. Changgung Zi Jinjian, a supreme Earth-level spiritual weapon, priced at 2 billion spiritual jade. Shi Sui Lingyi, a 7th-grade heavenly material. 500 million spiritual jade per bottle, a total of 5 bottles. Shi Hun Ning Shendan, a 7th-grade elixir, 300 million spiritual jade per bottle, totaling 10 bottles. Tian Lei Zhu, capable of invoking heavenly thunder, with power equivalent to a full-force strike from a tribulation stage cultivator. Priced at 100 million spiritual jade each, totaling 20. These treasures are incomparable to the items contained within the previous Shumi ring. They exist in an entirely different echelon. Tang Tian gazed thoughtfully at Qin Hai and remarked, at the Jinyu Hall, did you not claim that the amount you could authorize was merely 10 million? How has it suddenly escalated to such a magnitude? This appears rather unreasonable. Qin Hai let out a wry smile and replied, I have wagered my entire career. Based on your performance at Qinghua sect, I inferred that you might be dissatisfied with the contents of the previous ring. Hence, I pledged my future as collateral and applied to the main hall for these 5 treasures. If you can acquire even one of them, I shall ascend a further rung within the Jinyu Hall. Tang Tian stroked his chin, realizing the gravity of the situation. Qin Hai was indeed a person of considerable audacity. You wouldn't allow me to suffer a loss, would you? Qin Hai inquired cautiously. Tang Tian chuckled, of course not. I find the items within quite satisfactory. There is no need for selection. Anything of merit presented before me shall not be permitted to slip away. Upon hearing this, Qin Hai's face lit up with joy. Young Master Tang is indeed magnanimous. Subsequently, the two commenced their transaction. With only 2 billion at his disposal, Tang Tian opted for a staggered purchase, a method that Qin Hai had grown accustomed to. Before long, he had acquired all the items from both rings. The total amount of spirit jade surged past 100 billion, reaching a staggering 150 billion. The expenditure amounted to 130,000. A 7th-grade talent was now within reach. Qin Hai beamed, knowing that this transaction would significantly elevate his standing. It was a mutually beneficial scenario. Our collaboration has been delightful. Let us continue next time. I hope you can bring forth something that will astonish me, Tang Tian said with a smile. Qin Hai laughed heartily. Certainly. I shall do my utmost. Moments later, Qin Hai departed from the purple bamboo courtyard, and Gu Xiaoxue resumed her seat. Still stunned by the magnitude of Tang Tian's recent transaction, despite having witnessed his grand gestures before. How can you be so wealthy? I have never possessed more than 2 million spirit jade, Gu Xiaoxue inquired, her demeanor somewhat deflated. The disparity in wealth can indeed evoke a sense of inadequacy at times. Tang Tian shook his head. Some wealth is tangible, while some is intangible. Setting aside talents and the like, your cave dwelling, cultivation methods, spirit tools, and even your current cultivation environment would equate to a considerable fortune if placed externally. But these were all provided by the sect, Gu Xiaoxue countered. Tang Tian smiled. You have studied and enjoyed them. Do they not belong to you as well? The essence of value does not differ significantly in nature. Gu Xiaoxue responded with an O, her expression reflecting contemplation. Tang Tian appeared to be lost in thought, as he seemed to grasp the rationale behind Qinghua sect's decision to open its doors to honorary disciples. Sacrificing a minor portion of authority in exchange for a wealth of resources to benefit disciples solely belonging to them was a practice employed by many. The sole inquiry remained. Was Qinghua sect truly in financial distress? This, Tang Tian could not ascertain. Chapter 24. The Rare Treasures Gathering After a Moment of Silence. Tang Tian suddenly recalled something. Xiaoxue, have I gained considerable fame recently? He inquired. During this period, he had primarily occupied himself with the Zizhu courtyard and the dojo, remaining oblivious to the affairs of the outside world, wholly engrossed in the study of sacred texts. However, Gu Xiaoxue enjoyed relative freedom. On occasions when she did not attend the dojo, Tang Tian would grant her leave to attend to her own matters. Thus, she should be privy to some information. To some extent, Gu Xiaoxue replied. I am unaware of the lower district, but certain individuals in the upper district do occasionally convene to discuss you. Moreover, the number of invitations from outside the courtyard has been steadily increasing. Just yesterday, upon my return, I noticed some individuals lurking outside the Zizhu forest, peering in, only to be shooed away by me. Tang Tian fell silent. He understood that such occurrences were to be expected. His ostentatious expenditure and lavish demeanor would undoubtedly pique the curiosity of certain individuals. Yet, He had not anticipated the rapid development of such interest. Do none of you engage in cultivation? Is the gossiping tendency within the cultivation realm truly so pronounced? Tang Tian pondered, feeling exasperated. If this continued, it was inevitable that someone's curiosity would spiral out of control, leading to bothersome situations. Perhaps it was time for him to step outside and present himself, alleviating the air of mystery surrounding him. Once their curiosity was sated, his subsequent days would likely be more tranquil. Do you still have those invitations? Tang Tian was aware of this matter but had not even glanced at them, allowing Gu Xiaoxue to manage them as she saw fit. Yes, I have kept them all. Here, take a look. With that, Gu Xiaoxue produced a thick stack of invitations. Tang Tian accepted the invitations and began to peruse them. To his astonishment, the contents were quite absurd. Some invited him to admire flowers. Others beckoned him to participate in poetry and song gatherings. There were also invitations to witness beautiful women dance. One particular invitation requested his presence at the Luiyuan Lake within the sect for moon gazing, a locale typically reserved for couples, and the sender was, quite shockingly, a man. Rolling his eyes, Tang Tian discarded the ridiculous invitations aside, ultimately retaining only one that appeared to be of a more serious nature. 10 days hence, the honorary disciple rare treasures gathering will be held at the Shanchuan Garden, and you are cordially invited. This invitation was extended by none other than Shanchuan Garden. Have you heard of this place? Tang Tian presented the invitation to Gu Xiaoxue. She glanced at it and nodded, saying, I am aware. This is a place adorned with flowers, where various gatherings are held each spring during the blooming season. The Honorary Disciples Rare Treasures Gathering is one such event. It is exclusively for honorary disciples, though I am not entirely certain about the particulars. Tang Tian stroked his chin, pondering the gravity of the gathering. It would likely attract a considerable number of attendees. Upon reviewing the date on the invitation, he noted that it had been delivered 4 days prior, signifying that the Rare Treasures Gathering was set to occur in 6 days. Do inquire about the specifics of the gathering in the meantime. In 6 days, we shall attend together, Tang Tian suggested. The passage of 6 days was swift. During this time, the area outside the purple bamboo grove became increasingly populated, drawing a multitude of curious gazes whenever Tang Tian ventured outside. Some individuals, harboring ulterior motives, would even approach him to engage in conversation. Despite Gu Xiaoxue intervening on several occasions, there remained those who sought to ingratiate themselves and extract information. Consequently, Tang Tian opted to remain indoors, dedicating his time to cultivation within the confines of the purple bamboo courtyard. Thankfully, he had wisely chosen to live in solitude. Otherwise, he might have encountered unforeseen complications. On the day of his transaction with Qin Hai, Tang Tian expended 1 million consumption points to successfully exchange for the 7-element talent. The enhancement from the 7 talent rings significantly accelerated his cultivation speed, enabling him to break through yet again within a mere few days, reaching the 11th level of Qi refinement. At this rate, he would soon ascend to the foundation establishment stage. Additionally, he utilized 100,000 consumption points to acquire a 6th-tier physique, gaining the Thunder Dragon bloodline. This bloodline offered a superior enhancement to his physical attributes compared to the Great Wilderness Green Python, albeit without the accompanying secret techniques. This was somewhat regrettable. However, such matters cannot be forced. Everything unfolds in accordance with fate, and there will be opportunities to exchange for even more formidable physiques in the future. With the remaining consumption points, Tang Tian continued to exchange for various levels of comprehension opportunities, learning several different techniques to further deepen his understanding of cultivation and Taoism. Subsequently, Gu Xiaoxue managed to uncover some information regarding the Rare Treasures Gathering. It was indeed an event exclusively for honorary disciples, with eligibility requiring at least a mid-level honorary disciple status. The primary purpose of the gathering was to provide a recreational venue for honorary disciples, as not all of them, unlike Tang Tian, chose to seclude themselves in relentless cultivation. In truth, most honorary disciples were not particularly passionate about cultivation. They preferred the delights of nature, enjoying the scenery, moonlit nights, and lively festivities. Purchasing their titles merely allowed them to indulge in merriment more readily, while Tang Tian held little interest in such diversions. One segment of the gathering, the Rare Treasures Appreciation, piqued his curiosity greatly. When the time comes, the Spring Appreciation Garden will present some rather peculiar items for the esteemed disciples to admire, and those interested may purchase them. At such gatherings, regardless of the nature of the items displayed, one word invariably resonates: expensive. Tang Tian held a particular fondness for this term. Thus, he promptly resolved to attend this rare event, and no one could deter him. He rose early in the morning, inhaling a breath of fresh air, the faint fragrance of flowers invigorating his senses. We should gather some locust flowers these days, he suggested to Gu Xiaoxue, who was setting the table. When mixed with flour and steamed, They are particularly delicious. Can locust flowers be eaten? Gu Xiaoxue tilted her head. Realizing that the old locust tree had bloomed with clusters of white flowers, their sweet scent wafting gently. Of course they can, Tang Tian replied. Taking a seat at the table. Noticing a smudge of soot on Gu Xiaoxue's nose, he chuckled. Are you still cooking over firewood? I only mentioned it casually the other day. He gestured to his own nose to highlight her state. Gu Xiaoxue wiped the soot away and remarked, you weren't mistaken. Food cooked over firewood does have a unique aroma. Truly, the flavor is incomparable. Tang Tian smiled, savoring a simple breakfast. After their meal, the two tidied up and departed from the purple bamboo courtyard, traversing the tranquil paths towards the spring appreciation garden. Chapter 25. 3 types of people navigating around the main peak. Tang Tian and Gu Xiaoxue arrived at the eastern peak of Qingwei Gate. The spring appreciation garden was situated atop this peak. As they journeyed, Tang Tian observed an increasing number of esteemed disciples accompanying him, all seemingly headed for the rare item exhibition. He also noted that nearly all of the esteemed disciples were accompanied by several other disciples, both inner and core members, likely serving as their protectors. Tang Tian's presence did not attract much attention, for many had only heard his name and had yet to behold his true visage. However, just as he was nearing the spring appreciation garden, a youth fanning himself approached him. Good sir, are you alone? The young man inquired. Tang Tian glanced at him. The youth was also clad in the attire of a high-ranking esteemed disciple, yet lacked any escorts. Tang Tian gestured towards Gu Xiaoxue. The youth responded, what I meant was, you have no other companions. He smiled. As it happens, I am alone as well. Shall we travel together? Tang Tian remained silent, realizing that the youth had overlooked Gu Xiaoxue's presence. Though he was not particularly inclined to accompany others, he recalled that one of his purposes for venturing out today was to engage with others and appear less enigmatic. Ultimately, he nodded. I am Wang Ziyu. The youth introduced himself. I am Tang Tian, Tang Tian replied. Upon hearing that name, Wang Ziyu immediately displayed an expression of astonishment and remarked, you are the infamous young master Tang Tian, who has recently stirred quite the commotion. Tang Tian responded, commotion? Wang Ziyu chuckled and said, the Zizhu courtyard has not been inhabited for quite some time. Moreover, the Dao-level cultivation chambers are not accessible to just anyone. Yet, you have directly requisitioned 2 rooms and even renewed your stay for another year. Given these circumstances, it is impossible for you to remain inconspicuous. Tang Tian was at a loss for words, finally muttering, I merely act on impulse. Wang Ziyu clapped his hands and exclaimed, what a splendid notion of spontaneity. This should indeed be the guiding principle for us, the esteemed disciples. Unlike certain individuals who, day in and day out, engage in petty competitions, each striving to outdo the other, akin to weaned infants. Tang Tian laughed. Is such a thing truly the case? Wang Ziyu smirked. You are simply too sheltered from the outside world. You shall soon see. Subsequently, the 3 of them arrived at the entrance of the spring appreciation garden. With an invitation in hand, they were smoothly granted entry. Just as Gu Xiaoxue had mentioned, the garden was filled with an array of blossoms, a vibrant spectacle. Spring had arrived, and the various flowers vied for attention, saturating the air with delightful fragrances, a feast for the senses. After meandering through the garden for a while, Tang Tian finally grasped why Wang Ziyu had made such remarks. Along the way, he observed several groups of esteemed disciples gathered, discussing topics that seemed utterly nonsensical. My cave's window broke a few days ago, so I purchased a water mirror, and it cost me 80,000 spirit jade. What a ripoff. One lamented, shaking his head. Another chimed in. Indeed, I cannot fathom why prices have suddenly skyrocketed. Just yesterday, I bought an ordinary golden silk jade cushion and ended up spending 130,000. Tang Tian was taken aback. Are you genuinely lamenting prices? The conversation among another group further widened his perspective. My friend, I heard that while dining at the Jimyo Tower yesterday, you were in high spirits and ended up covering the entire bill? One inquired. Another burst into laughter. Not exactly high spirits, just caught in the moment. It was merely over 1 million. As long as everyone enjoys themselves, that is what matters. The questioner narrowed his eyes. Oh, is that so? Yet I heard you merely put it on account. The other's face flushed crimson as he retorted loudly. How dare you slander my reputation? Tang Tian shook his head in exasperation, wondering what sort of people these were. However, the next group he encountered was even more absurd. Ah, sister. Your little kitten is utterly adorable. What noble lineage does it hail from? One exclaimed. Oh, it's quite ordinary, just a hint of flower spirit bloodline, came the response. And what about the kingfisher perched on your shoulder? Just a celestial bird bloodline, nothing as noble as yours. No, yours is the noble one. No, yours is the noble one. You are the noble one. You are the noble one. Tang Tian rubbed his forehead, only to find that Gu Xiaoxue and Wang Ziyu bore expressions of nonchalance. Do you not find their conversation somewhat peculiar? Tang Tian inquired of Gu Xiaoxue. Gu Xiaoxue blinked. Not at all. Isn't it typical for honorary disciples? Tang Tian replied. So, there exists such a label? Might it be that other ordinary disciples gaze upon themselves with similar attitudes, akin to that of viewing a lunatic? Of course it's strange. Wang Ziyu interjected. Tang Tian immediately felt relieved, realizing that there were indeed normal individuals among honorary disciples. The bloodline of a flower demon is hardly considered noble. One must at least be of the caliber of a celestial crane to warrant such distinction, Wang Ziyu stated earnestly. Tang Tian was left speechless. It appeared that he still had a long journey ahead in reconciling his identity as an honorary disciple. Such a realm was not something easily attained by just anyone. Seemingly perceiving Tang Tian's thoughts, Wang Ziyu chuckled. The individuals we just encountered are merely of the lower to middle tiers. They revel in such nonsensical antics. The truly affluent individuals are generally far more grounded. Tang Tian, intrigued, asked, Is there a distinction among honorary disciples? Wang Ziyu replied with a smile, Certainly. Generally, honorary disciples can be categorized into 3 types. The first type comprises those who, through some fortuitous opportunity, suddenly attain wealth overnight. Lacking the requisite strength to acquire their desired status through conventional means, they resort to purchasing their identities with spirit jade, providing a semblance of security for themselves and their future descendants. Such individuals tend to be quite shrewd and typically refrain from extravagant spending. The second type consists of those who are wealthy, yet equally lack strength. Their families procure identities for them, allowing them to evade certain internal family disputes while living a relatively stable life. These individuals are primarily here to indulge, often seen leisurely strolling about. And those we just encountered fall into this category. The third type encompasses those who possess wealth, strength, and a formidable background. Their motivations for purchasing identities vary, and while they generally do not engage in reckless behavior, they are the most formidable of all. After listening, Tang Tian couldn't help but be astonished. It was surprising to learn that there existed such distinctions among honorary disciples. If Wang Ziyu's assertions were accurate, it could be inferred that the second type, the indolent crowd, likely constituted the majority. And what about you? To which category do you belong? Tang Tian asked. Wang Ziyu paused, then gracefully opened his folding fan, saying, I belong to none of those categories. Fame and fortune are but fleeting clouds. I care only for my own freedom. Tang Tian nodded in understanding, responding, So, you consider yourself an eccentric. Wang Ziyu's fan momentarily stilled, then he smiled nonchalantly. Indeed, one might say so. And what of you, Brother Tang? To which category do you believe you belong? Tang Tian responded with a faint smile. What a coincidence. I too consider myself unconventional. Chapter 26. The unorthodox disciple. Tang Tian's reply elicited a fit of laughter from Wang Ziyu, who doubled over in mirth. No wonder I felt such an instant camaraderie with Brother Tang. It turns out we are indeed kindred spirits. Wang Ziyu laughed heartily. Tang Tian merely smiled in response, choosing not to speak. Being unconventional has its merits. Perhaps this meant he would not receive unsolicited invitations to moon-gazing gatherings. After all, the term unconventional often connotes a sense of nonconformity or capriciousness. As their conversation flowed, the rapport between the two deepened. Wang Ziyu regaled Tang Tian with numerous anecdotes about the honorary disciples, granting him a clearer understanding of this group for the first time. In essence, honorary disciples were not typically those absorbed in rigorous cultivation. Rather, they were more vivacious. Their presence felt across various fields. Their existence also, to a certain extent, bolstered commercial development, allowing Qingyue's sect to reap myriad benefits beyond mere spiritual jade. The spring appreciation garden was expansive, and the two strolled while engaging in lively discourse. Occasionally, individuals attempted to invite or join them, but faced with the two unconventional figures, they opted to keep their distance. However, just as they were enjoying their solitude, a cold voice interjected from nearby. Tang Tian. Turning to investigate, Tang Tian beheld a stranger, a young man who was also a senior honorary disciple. Unlike him, however, this youth was surrounded by a throng of core or inner disciples, all strikingly beautiful young women, numbering no less than 10, adorned in vibrant attire. And you are? Tang Tian inquired, a slight furrow forming on his brow, certain that he had never encountered this young man before. Shinto Feng, the youth replied, noticing Tang Tian's lingering confusion. His voice grew even colder. Heh, as expected, you have disregarded the invitation I extended to you. Tang Tian frowned again, still struggling to recall the name. It was only upon Gu Xiaoxue's reminder that he suddenly realized the individual who had invited him to watch beautiful women dance was indeed Shinto Feng. So it is you. Tang Tian mused, observing the young man surrounded by a bouquet of flowers. I suppose you watch beautiful women dance every day. Doesn't that become tiresome? Apologies. But I do not share such inclinations, Tang Tian replied. Shen Tufeng let out a derisive snort, remaining silent thereafter. Yet, unexpectedly, Gu Xiaoxue stepped forward. Positioning herself protectively in front of Tang Tian, a subtle aura of late golden core stage emanating from her, shielding him. Young Master Tang. He intends to probe your body with his divine consciousness, Gu Xiaoxue warned. Tang Tian's countenance darkened immediately. Shen Tufeng, what do you mean by this? To probe someone's being without consent is exceedingly impolite and laden with malice. Such actions are only undertaken by those of higher status towards their inferiors. After being scrutinized a few times, Tang Tian advised Gu Xiaoxue to directly intercept anyone who dared to do so again. Unexpectedly, Shen Tufeng brazenly acted upon this. In response to Tang Tian's inquiry, Shen Tufeng replied indifferently, "It's nothing. I merely wish to observe what capabilities someone as proud as you possesses. You have rented a Dao-level cultivation chamber. Your progress must be swift, right? Have you reached the 5th level of qi refinement?" Tang Tian frowned, sensing that this fellow seemed to possess an unsettling familiarity with him. Suddenly, amidst the crowd behind Shen Tufeng, he caught sight of a familiar figure, and realization dawned upon him. The person was Fang Fei. This clarified matters. Fang Fei was Lin Yu's close friend and undoubtedly well informed about his circumstances. If Tang Tian still exhibited the same talent as before, even with access to a Dao-level cultivation chamber, he would barely reach the 5th level of qi refinement. Was this fellow seeking revenge? Tang Tian could not discern. Yet, it mattered little. Within the Qingyue sect, as long as one did not commit fundamentally grievous errors, no one could lay a finger on a high-ranking disciple. Moreover, Gu Xiaoxue was by his side. What I am is of no concern to you. Should you dare to offend me again, do not blame me for being impolite, Tang Tian stated coldly. Concurrently, Gu Xiaoxue's aura surged dramatically, pressing down on everyone present. After days of cultivation, her prowess was now exceedingly close to the pinnacle of golden core perfection, and combined with her extraordinary talent, she was a formidable match even for seasoned golden core cultivators. Shen Tufeng undoubtedly felt this pressure. Though he appeared disgruntled, he ultimately refrained from acting out. This is the blossoming spring garden, and I wish to avoid unnecessary conflict. However, mark my words, you will eventually pay the price for your arrogance. Let us go. With that, Shen Tufeng led his entourage past Tang Tian. Tang Tian pondered deeply. Arrogance. Who truly was the arrogant one? He found it difficult to comprehend Shen Tufeng's mindset. Nevertheless, it was of little consequence, as he had Xiaoxue by his side. Once Shen Tufeng had departed, Gu Xiaoxue retracted her aura and returned to stand behind Tang Tian. Beside them, Wang Ziyu could not help but cast a few glances at her before remarking, "Brother Tang, your little guardian is quite remarkable. I truly envy you." Tang Tian shot him a glance and replied, "Then why don't you find one for yourself?" Wang Ziyu chuckled. "I'm accustomed to going solo. Besides, within the Qingyue sect, where's the danger? Those who seek guardians merely do so to show off. Of course, you are different." "Brother Tang." Tang Tian was speechless, gazing towards the direction where Shen Tufeng had vanished, and queried with some confusion, "Does the sect not intervene in such matters?" After all, there were at least 10 young female disciples surrounding Shen Tufeng. Surely, no one believes they are merely his guards? Tang Tian found it somewhat perplexing that the inner sect core disciples, who should hold significant importance in a sect, were seemingly neglected by Qingyue Gate, allowing individuals like Shen Tufeng to cause trouble. Wang Ziyu chuckled softly, remarking, "The sect undoubtedly has its own considerations, which are beyond our capacity to speculate. Conversely, one who can be tempted by wealth to betray themselves hardly merits the sect's esteem." Tang Tian fell silent. Although the sentiment was articulated, it seemed rather unfortunate, as there must be instances of individuals being misled and straying from their paths. In private discussions regarding ordinary disciples, we refer to them with 2 distinct titles. Wang Ziyu continued, "Those who wholeheartedly seek the Tao, diligently practicing without succumbing to external temptations, we typically call pure disciples. Conversely, those who are tainted by the allure of spiritual jade and the reputation of their peers are referred to as impure disciples, which also includes the guards." Tang Tian furrowed his brow slightly, instinctively glancing at Gu Xiaoxue. By this definition, she too would be classified as an impure disciple. Yet she had exhibited no such impure behavior. In fact, her excessive innocence often left Tang Tian exasperated. "That title is rather unpleasant," he remarked. Wang Ziyu shook his head with a smile. "Indeed, it is quite unpalatable, but it reflects the truth, regardless of the reasons. It signifies that their resolve in the Tao has wavered." Tang Tian instinctively wished to refute this, but could find no compelling argument. Indeed, for a true cultivator, the stability of one's heart in the Tao is paramount. It must not be swayed by hardships or other circumstances. Only those with a pure heart can be regarded as the future that the sect holds in high esteem. Shin Tufeng's expression remained dark, feeling displeased after being rebuffed and threatened to his face. Fang Fei, you were right. This Tang Tian is indeed exceedingly arrogant, Shin Tufeng declared. Fang Fei stepped forward. Speaking gently, please do not take offense. After all, he has purchased both the Zizhu courtyard and the Dao-level cultivation chambers in one go. A bit of pride is to be expected. Shin Tufeng scoffed, and what of it? There are others in the sect with ample resources. He is merely a fortunate nouveau riche. I extended a sincere invitation for him to participate in the elders' discourse, yet he couldn't even remember my name. Truly, he is arrogantly ignorant. Fang Fei lowered her head slightly, whispering, when I delivered the invitation, I specifically mentioned you, yet he didn't even step through the threshold. Shin Tufeng ground his teeth. Just wait. He will eventually pay the price. After a moment, he inquired, by the way, when will that pure disciple you mentioned, who is about to be promoted to core status, be coming? Fang Fei smiled lightly, very soon. Rest assured, I will certainly present her to you. Chapter 27. Stealing the spotlight after the incident at Shinta Peak, Tang Tian lost his desire to continue his exploration. They settled in a serene pavilion, waiting for the commencement of the Rare Treasures Conference. Are there truly many treasures at the conference? Tang Tian inquired. Wang Ziyu, fanning himself, replied. How could one say there are merely many? There is an abundance. Whatever you can imagine, there is nothing the conference cannot present. Just wait and see. Tang Tian found himself speechless. What was the difference between that and saying nothing at all, as he nibbled on a plate of fresh spirit fruits? Tang Tian awaited the event. Wang Ziyu unabashedly reached over to grab a handful, stating, the primary audience for the conference consists of ordinary high-ranking and intermediate honor disciples. With your financial resources, Brother Tang, you are sure to have a splendid time. Tang Tian curled his lips. From your words, I sense today one tea be particularly delightful. Wang Ziyu blinked in surprise. Why not? Tang Tian chose not to elaborate. Given that the conference was aimed at ordinary honor disciples, the prices of the items would surely not be exorbitant, meaning it wouldn't cost much. How could that possibly bring him joy? After waiting for a while, the Rare Treasures Conference finally commenced. Hundreds of honor disciples gathered amidst a sea of flowers. At the center of this floral expanse stood a magnificent fountain, where the conference was held. They casually took a seat and enjoyed the enchanting melodies and graceful dances before the conference officially began. After a segment of insipid opening remarks, the organizers unveiled the first treasure, a koi fish with the bloodline of the golden butterfly, striking in both color and form, capable of growing a pair of golden butterfly wings upon maturity. Priced at 50,000 spirit jade per fish, the audience was invited to bid. The host lifted a transparent circular display, which floated in midair, illuminated by a myriad of colors as 10 koi fish refracted brilliant light. Soon, bids began to emerge for the various koi. Observing the fervent crowd, Tang Tian asked Wang Ziyu, what are the characteristics of these koi? Wang Ziyu replied, none at all. They are just ordinary koi. After pondering for a moment, Tang Tian further inquired, and what level of beast is the golden butterfly bloodline? Wang Ziyu chuckled. It is merely an ordinary mundane beast. These koi are specially cultivated by people, primarily aimed at curiosity. Tang Tian was astounded. It turned out that the so-called Rare Treasures Conference predominantly revolved around this element of curiosity. He had presumed that at the very least, there would be items related to cultivation. Ultimately, he realized he had thought too small. For most honor disciples, cultivation was truly of little importance. The pursuit of novelty was what they were most passionate about. Brother Tang, you seem rather uninterested? Wang Ziyu remarked with a smile. Tang Tian paused. Indeed, he felt no interest whatsoever. He tends to lean towards practicality. However, since he has already chosen to embark on the path of an honorary disciple, perhaps engaging in activities that align with his persona would be more advantageous. Are they delicious? Tang Tian inquired. Wang Ziyu was momentarily taken aback and responded, typically. One would not spend such a sum merely to sample its texture, would they? Tang Tian smiled slightly. Allow me to set the pace then. He promptly declared his price, 1 million per fish. The honorary disciples, who had been vying for bids around 70 to 80,000, were instantly stunned. Even the person in charge doubted his own hearing, incredulously asking, young master, are you certain you are bidding 1 million per fish? Leaning languidly in his chair, Tang Tian replied nonchalantly, I have no desire to negotiate further. I shall make this one bid. Whoever offers more may take it. The expression on the official's face was remarkable. Was this even a valid rationale? Could anyone be so indifferent? The other honorary disciples exchanged glances. These koi with golden butterfly bloodlines typically sold for no more than 100,000 spirit jade. 1 million? Who would expend such a fortune on something merely for aesthetic appreciation? Brother Tang truly possesses audacity. Wang Ziyu couldn't help but exclaim. It's not too bad. Tang Tian replied calmly. I could forego a snack to afford it. Everyone was astounded. So extravagant. Do you require 10 million for a mere snack? What kind of delicacy is that? Dragon liver and phoenix marrow? They were aware of Tang Tian's wealth. Yet they had not anticipated his spending habits to be so audacious. He was in an entirely different league. No one dared to raise their bids further. Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Tang Tian successfully acquired 10 koi possessing golden butterfly bloodlines. Regrettably, the system deemed this expenditure outside the realm of normal transactions, thus failing to trigger any refunds or consumer points. However, it mattered little. With Tang Tian's current assets, such a sum was virtually negligible. Following this brief interlude, the Rare Treasures Conference continued. The next rare item was a flower exuding a peculiar fragrance, which at night emitted pollen resembling fireflies. The starting price was 100,000 spirit jade, 1 million. Before anyone else could bid, Tang Tian once again raised the price tenfold. The crowd fell silent. Yet no one voiced any objections. It was his money, after all. He could spend it as he pleased, and what concern was it of theirs? Moreover, such a spectacle was far more entertaining than the conference itself, providing ample material for boasting upon returning to their companions. Subsequently, for each rare item presented, Tang Tian chose to place a bid. It was merely an initial offer. He had grown weary of waiting. Nevertheless, his domineering behavior incited displeasure among certain individuals. Within the venue, Tuoba Feng observed Tang Tian monopolizing the limelight, emitting a cold snort. Such arrogance could only be displayed in a gathering of this caliber. I wonder how he would fare against true elite heirs. Behind him, Feng Fei's gaze shifted slightly upon hearing his words, her thoughts seemingly adrift. The Rare Treasures Conference continued, with each item presented exuding an air of curiosity. However, their prices remained modest, generally below 500,000, all of which Tang Tian acquired effortlessly. As the event neared its conclusion, the prices began to escalate. The ice silkworm scarf, worn by the celestial fairy for years, commenced bidding at 5 million. The organizer called out loudly, then cast a beaming glance at Tang Tian. Under Tang Tian's lavish spending, this Rare Treasures Conference was poised to yield their greatest profit yet. What is this? Tang Tian mused, inspecting the scarf, which was merely crafted from ordinary ice silkworm silk, yet commanded a price of 5 million. Wang Ziyu turned, his expression one of astonishment. You truly do not know? That belongs to the celestial fairy. Over a decade ago, she was the most dazzling prodigy of the Qinghua sect, single-handedly suppressing the entire sect. This scarf was likely worn by her for an extended period before her ascension. He elaborated. It was tied around her neck and tucked into her garments, if you catch my drift. Wang Ziyu's face was alight with mischief. At that moment, Gu Xiaoxue displayed a look of incredulity. Ugh, can such an item really be auctioned? Anyone willing to pay for it must be rather foolish, haha. Yet, scarcely had the words left her lips when Wang Ziyu interjected, I bid 10 million. Tang Tian countered with 50 million. Gu Xiaoxue, feeling the weight of their scrutinizing gazes, shrank back. That scarf is undoubtedly more complex than it appears. Indeed, she replied. In the end, Tang Tian clinched the ice silkworm scarf for an astonishing 50 million, much to his surprise, receiving acknowledgement from 2 systems for this expenditure. It seems the systems are rather peculiar themselves. Tang brother, may I take a look? Wang Ziyu's eyes were filled with envy as he requested. Tang Tian readily handed it over, and Wang Ziyu took the scarf, inhaling deeply, his face alight with rapture. This spectacle elicited disdain from Gu Xiaoxue, prompting her to instinctively distance herself from him. Do you like it that much? Then it's yours, Tang Tian chuckled. This item is indeed quite peculiar. After examining it, Wang Ziyu ultimately returned it. Never mind, a gentleman does not covet what others cherish. Besides, it is exceedingly precious. Tang brother, do take care of it. Tang Tian shook his head, casually tucking it into his pocket. The gathering of rare treasures continues, with Tang Tian once again taking center stage, seemingly transforming the event into a solo performance tailored solely for him. Today, his theme is encapsulated in a single word, frenzy. Soon, the gathering reaches its final phase, and the last treasure is presented before the audience. The Yanggang Tingyun branch, a spirit object cultivated in the land of 9 suns, boasts effects that are undoubtedly well known to all. Merely a small segment, when steeped in spirit tea and consumed, can transport one to the exhilarating sensation of soaring among the clouds, effortlessly outmatching 10 beauties in battle. The host, with a sly grin, speaks in a tone that prompts hearty laughter from the crowd, as everyone comprehends the implications of his words. The bidding begins at 20 million spirit jade. Such an item is often highly coveted among the ranks of honored disciples, thus the starting price is not insignificant. In previous instances, bids would have already commenced. However, today, the crowd first casts their gaze toward Tang Tian, curious to see if he will make another move. Tang Tian remains composed. Given the atmosphere, It would be illogical not to participate. Calmly, he declares, 100 million. After speaking, he pays no further attention. The crowd gasps in astonishment, even among esteemed disciples. Such financial prowess elicits envy. The price escalates fivefold in a single stroke, dissuading those who initially intended to bid. The Tang Tian branch may be trivial, but offending such a financially formidable honored disciple would not bode well. After a moment of silence without further bids, the host prepares to conclude this final transaction. Suddenly, a cold voice interrupts. 100 million and 10,000 spirit jade. The crowd is taken aback, turning to investigate the source. Tang Tian raises an eyebrow, surprised that someone would dare to challenge him at this juncture. How desperate must they be for this item? Following the direction of the voice, he quickly realizes it belongs to Shen Tufeng. No wonder he desires such an object, considering the throng of formidable female cultivators surrounding him. His slight frame would struggle to endure. The Yanggang Tang Tian branch might restore his masculine vigor. Had someone outbid Tang Tian earlier, he would not have raised his own offer. However, with this being the final item, failing to acquire it would render the day incomplete. Moreover, it is Shen Tufeng who harbors animosity towards him. After a moment's contemplation, Tang Tian raises the bid again, 100 million and 10 million. Shen Tufeng's expression darkens, glaring coldly in response. Tang Tian remains unperturbed, ignoring him entirely. 100 million and 15 million. Shen Tufeng seems resolute in his pursuit. Yet, Tang Tian has no intention of granting him that opportunity, boldly announcing a staggering figure, 500 million. The crowd erupts in astonishment. My goodness, it is truly madness. Spending 500 million on a mere segment of the Tang Tian branch is a form of consumption that is beyond my comprehension. This is precisely why these magnates are referred to as such. At last, someone has made a move. Such a contest of power is indeed captivating. However, it appears that Shen Tufeng is struggling. Hearing the murmurs of the crowd, his expression darkened to an extreme. Tang Tian, what do you mean by this? He shouted angrily. Tang Tian didn't even spare him a glance and replied nonchalantly. Is there a problem? Shen Tufeng retorted. Didn't you previously state that you would cease bidding if someone outbid you? Why the sudden change of heart? Tang Tian replied. Change of heart? Exactly, Shen Tufeng asserted. You have raised the price twice. Are you deliberately seeking trouble? What do you mean? Tang Tian inquired. Shen Tufeng frowned. Since you have decided to bid only once, why are you vying with me over this matter? Tang Tian mused. Indeed, why? Shen Tufeng remarked, as the saying goes. When one is too weary to argue with a fool, the best course of action is to infuriate him. Indeed, Shen Tufeng was seething with rage, his hair standing on end. He leaped forward, landing directly in front of Tang Tian, unleashing the overwhelming aura of the golden course stage. However, at that moment, Gu Xiaoxue had already positioned herself in front of Lin Tian, completely shielding him from the pressure. Being unable to afford it is nothing to be ashamed of. Is it necessary to become so frantic? Tang Tian stated calmly, devoid of any signs of anxiety. Shen Tufeng's face flushed with anger. Being wealthy makes you impressive, does it? Do you truly believe you are formidable? Compared to those genuine young masters, you are merely an insignificant ant. Tang Tian chuckled softly. As you said, they are young masters. Not you. Shen Tufeng's expression darkened entirely. He waved his hand, commanding his guards to position themselves in front of Tang Tian, and coldly declared, You are too arrogant. Do you truly believe that wealth grants you everything? Let us see if you can walk away with it today. Tang Tian was momentarily taken aback, then crossed his arms and reclined leisurely against the back of his chair. This man had evidently lost his composure. Today, he was merely a guest, required to spend money. And whether he could acquire the item was the responsibility of the hosting organization, the Shanchuan Garden. There was no need for him to pay any heed to Shen Tufeng. As expected, upon hearing this, the organizer grew somewhat anxious. Young Master Shen Tu, what you are doing may be somewhat inappropriate. This is Shanchuan Garden. Please consider saving face. But at this moment, Shen Tufeng was in no mood to listen, shouting, You have your face. What about mine? Don't forget. I represent the face of young Master Lu. Upon uttering the name of young Master Lu, the expressions of the majority present shifted dramatically. Even the person in charge was momentarily taken aback, unable to continue persuading him. Tang Tian furrowed his brow. This young Master Lu appeared rather formidable. As he pondered, a refined voice drifted over. When will you be able to represent Lu Chang'e? Perhaps I should inquire about it another day. Subsequently, a young man clad in a white robe soared from a distance, accompanied by several individuals dressed in the attire of core disciples. Yet, the aura emanating from these disciples was exceptionally obscure, even more powerful than Gu Xiaoxue. Chapter 29. The Retainer upon the arrival of the youth in white. The atmosphere at the Qijian society fell into a profound silence. Almost all the honorary disciples displayed expressions of astonishment, and even Shen Tufeng's countenance shifted. his previously furious emotions retracting in an instant. The person in charge hastily approached, respectfully addressing him, young Master Jingheng. Jingheng nodded slightly, then turned to Shin Tufeng, remarking coolly, I truly do not understand why Lu Chang'e would take an interest in you. With just a few words, you lose your composure. You are truly inept. Shin Tufeng's face paled, and he dared not utter another word, repeatedly apologizing. I have acted inappropriately. Young Master Jing is magnanimous. I hope you will not take offense. He added. Jingheng regarded him with an impassive expression until Shin Tufeng began to sweat profusely, at which point he slowly commanded, leave. From this day forth, do not let me see you at Dongfeng again. Shin Tufeng, feeling as though he had received a reprieve, once more offered his apologies before hastily departing from the Shanchuan garden. Observing this swift turn of events, Tang Tian stroked his chin. This Jingheng appeared to be quite a notable figure. After Shin Tufeng's departure, Jingheng resumed his affable demeanor, addressing the honorary disciples present. An unpleasant incident has occurred. And this is a fault of our Shanchuan garden. Please, enjoy yourselves. All expenses will be covered by us. Jingheng's innate charm was well received, and the crowd readily expressed their understanding, the ambience of the gathering returning to its original vibrancy, even more jubilant than before. Having spoken, Jingheng then accepted the Tingyun branch from the person in charge and personally presented it to Tang Tian. I have long heard of your esteemed name, young Master Tang. Seeing you today, you are indeed extraordinary. Jingheng smiled. What transpired earlier was due to our mismanagement. I hope you will not take it to heart. Consider this Tingyun branch as my apology. Tang Tian rose, accepting the Tingyun branch with a slight smile. I prefer to conduct transactions directly. He then produced a piece of spiritual jade and offered it forth. Jingheng did not decline further, accepting the jade and responding, young Master Tang is indeed generous. Today's abrupt incident has caused a lack of hospitality. I hope you will not hold it against us. You are welcome to visit Changdong Peak anytime. Allow me the opportunity to extend my hospitality. His politeness was overwhelming, and Tang Tian quickly assured him he would certainly do so next time. After a leisurely exchange of pleasantries, Jingheng took his leave without probing into Tang Tian's affairs or engaging in any matters of mutual interest. The phrase a gentleman's friendship is as insipid as water was epitomized by his conduct. With Jingheng's departure, the extraordinary gathering came to a close, and the attendees resumed their leisurely exploration of the garden, conversing about the events of the day. Tang Tian and Wang Ziyu returned to their seats in the pavilion. I never anticipated his arrival, Wang Ziyu remarked, fanning herself. Jingheng? Tang Tian inquired. Wang Ziyu nodded, stating, he is the most formidable honorary disciple of the East Peak and ranks among the strongest honorary disciples of our Qinghua sect. Even the Peak Master must treat him with utmost respect. Tang Tian was taken aback. Jingheng was indeed an honorary disciple? It appeared that the disparities among honorary disciples were significant. If he is so powerful, why remain an honorary disciple? Tang Tian questioned, perplexed. From his prior understanding, he had gathered that being an honorary disciple was not esteemed by the upper echelons of Qinghua sect, often overlooked. Wang Ziyu chuckled. Do you recall the 3 types of individuals I mentioned earlier? Among honorary disciples, there exists a category distinguished by illustrious lineage and remarkable wealth, coupled with exceptional personal capabilities that rival those of the elite core disciples. Those who choose the path of honorary disciples often have diverse motivations. Young Master Jingheng belongs to this category, and he is among the very top. Tang Tian inquired further, what could Jingheng's motives be? Wang Ziyu replied, I cannot say. The pursuits of such individuals are on a different plane compared to ordinary honorary disciples. However, I can tell you that within the East Peak, Jingheng's standing is second only to the Peak Master, and he even has a say in the appointments of elders. Tang Tian raised an eyebrow, a flicker of understanding dawning within him. Surely, there must be matters of authority involved. After a moment's contemplation, he asked, are there others of similar stature within the Qinghua sect? It was prudent to clarify this to avoid inadvertently entangling himself in future predicaments. Indeed, there are. Wang Ziyu replied with a smile. Within the Qinghua sect, there are 5 prominent young masters and 2 distinguished young ladies, all on par with Jingheng. They are known as Dongjing, Beiguan, Shidu, Nanfeng Mukin, and Zhufeng Luta. Dongjing refers to the East Peak Jingheng, Beiguan to the North Peak Guanming, and Shidu to the West Peak Du Yuanqing. The South Peak is ruled by the 2 young ladies, Mo Xiaoxiao and Chen Xiao, who share a close bond and coexist harmoniously. The main peak is represented by Lu Chang'e and Tian Yangsheng, 2 formidable honorary disciples vying for supremacy and strength. Tang Tian was left in silent contemplation, realizing the existence of so many individuals of Jingheng's caliber. Listening to this, the 5 prominent sons and 2 esteemed daughters have almost seized control over the entire Qinghua sect. Could it be that the sect is utterly indifferent? allowing them to wield such immense power? There must be hidden connections that elude my understanding. Is the sect not concerned? Tang Tian inquired tentatively. Wang Ziyu chuckled. Concerned about what? After all, they are all members of the Qinghua sect. In acquiring power, they also bear a significant share of responsibility. It is a reciprocal arrangement. The Qinghua sect is not a small sect in the traditional sense. Its scale precludes it from being as pure as some other sections. Surely, you must grasp the wisdom of better to loosen than to block, Brother Tang. Tang Tian nodded slightly, gaining a preliminary understanding of the operational dynamics of the Qinghua sect for the first time. His sole lingering question was what foundation the sect possessed that allowed it to remain unconcerned about the deliberate infiltration of opposing forces. This question might only be clarified as he delved deeper into his understanding. Casting aside these tangled thoughts, Tang Tian recalled another matter. Brother Wang, you mentioned that Jing Heng is also an honorary disciple? Yet, why do the guards surrounding him seem to possess strength far exceeding the golden core stage? When Jing Heng arrived, he was accompanied by several core disciples, yet their aura was several times more formidable than that of Gu Xiaoxue. Was it not said that only those at the peak of the golden core stage could be employed? Wang Ziyu provided clarification. They are not guards at all, but hold another identity, guests. Tang Tian was taken aback. What does that mean? Wang Ziyu explained. The relationship between honorary disciples and guards is one of employment. Guards must sacrifice a portion of their freedom and adhere strictly to the regulations set forth in the guards' code. However, guests operate differently. The relationship between guests and honorary disciples is one of equality, granting them ample freedom, provided both parties reach an agreement and register at the merit hall. The remuneration for guests is also negotiated directly between the two parties, with the sect having no involvement. Tang Tian inquired, is there no restriction on strength? Wang Ziyu nodded. No restrictions on strength. As long as you possess the capability, you could even have the young sect master as your guest, though that is practically an impossibility. Generally, guests possess strength at least above the nascent soul stage. In fact, honorary disciples of Brother Tang's caliber typically have quite a few guests. Tang Tian fell silent, surprised by this revelation. He had been contemplating that once Gu Xiaoxue broke through to the nascent soul stage, he would need to seek out other guards. Finding a suitable candidate was not an easy task. However, now he might consider discussing with her the possibility of becoming his guest and remaining by his side. Furthermore, it was indeed time to recruit a few more individuals. Chapter 30 Farewell to Zhongyang after a period of time. Tang Tian realized that having only Gu Xiaoxue as a guard was somewhat inadequate. Wherever he went, she had to accompany him. Often, when attending to trivial matters or gathering information, she was entrusted with full responsibility. Although Gu Xiaoxue never voiced any objections and approached every task with diligence, Tang Tian felt it was somewhat inappropriate. After all, Gu Xiaoxue was merely a guard. He could not burden her with every task. Moreover, she was a prodigy of innate talent, deserving of greater recognition rather than being overlooked. Thus, he had been contemplating the need to recruit a few more individuals to share the mundane responsibilities. However, he was reluctant to seek out cultivators of the golden core stage. So he had temporarily set that thought aside. Fortunately, given the existence of the guest-disciple status within the sect, the matter became considerably simpler. If one wishes to recruit guest disciples, must one personally engage with them? Tang Tian inquired. Wang Ziyu responded, personal engagement is indeed the best approach, as it fosters a better understanding between the parties. However, if time and energy are lacking, one can choose to post a recruitment notice in the honor hall of the merit pavilion, outlining the requirements, and the sect will assist in finding suitable candidates. But be advised, this will require a considerable amount of spirit stones. Tang Tian felt relieved, as long as he did not have to expend effort in the search. Spirit stones were not a concern. Thank you for the information, Brother Wang, Tang Tian said, cupping his hands in gratitude. He had learned a great deal from Wang Ziyu today, knowledge he had previously been unaware of. Wang Ziyu waved his hand dismissively, no need for formality. I too have never encountered someone with whom I resonate so well. If you truly wish to express your gratitude, do invite me to your Zizhu courtyard sometime. I have never had the opportunity to visit that place, as it was not open to the public before. Tang Tian smiled. You are certainly welcome. Time swiftly passed, and soon it was afternoon. With the conclusion of the Rare Treasures Conference, Tang Tian departed from the Shanshan Garden and bid farewell to Wang Ziyu at the foot of Dongfeng. During this event, Tang Tian had undeniably been the central figure. His persona and manner of conduct had finally become known to the public, a wealthy individual of free-spirited nature, somewhat aloof and unorthodox. This was the impression most people had of Tang Tian. He held no particular regard for this perception. His purpose for attending was merely to shed some of his mystery. Ultimately, he had achieved his goal. On the way back, Tang Tian suddenly spoke. Xiaoxue, would you be willing to become my guest disciple? Gu Xiaoxue was taken aback. seemingly caught off guard by Tang Tian's unexpected inquiry. But I am still only at the golden core stage, which does not meet the standards for a guest disciple. Tang Tian chuckled. With your talent, it won't be long before you break through to the nascent soul stage. According to the sect's regulations, our employment relationship will automatically conclude at that time. Therefore, I believe it would be prudent to inquire about your thoughts in advance. Gu Xiaoxue responded with a gentle acknowledgement, followed by a somewhat bashful admission. I have not yet contemplated this matter. The reason I chose to be a guardian was simply to earn some spirit jade to purchase a Yuaning Dan. This revelation took Tang Tian by surprise and left him feeling a twinge of disappointment. He had anticipated that, under the influence of his protagonist aura, the young girl would eagerly agree. It seems he had overestimated his appeal. Well, take your time to consider it, Tang Tian suggested. Gu Xiaoxue nodded in agreement. However, after a brief period of silence, she suddenly lifted her head and inquired, "Do you wish for me to stay?" Tang Tian was momentarily taken aback, then replied with a smile, "Of course. I have found our time together quite enjoyable." Gu Xiaoxue lowered her head once more and murmured, "Then, once I break through to Yuan, I shall inform my senior sister." Tang Tian beamed. It appeared that his protagonist aura still held sway. The two of them proceeded, one after the other, swiftly arriving at the foot of the main peak. Suddenly, Tang Tian halted, contemplating for a moment before stating, "Let us visit the merit hall. I will arrange for a few attendants in advance, allowing you to cultivate in peace and expedite your breakthrough to Yuan." Gu Xiaoxue gently nodded in agreement. Subsequently, the two ascended the main peak and arrived at the magnificent merit hall. Inside, a constant flow of individuals busied themselves with their respective tasks. At the center of the hall lay the position of the honor hall. Upon entering, Tang Tian pondered for a moment and suggested that Gu Xiaoxue rest in the lobby while he made his way alone to Elder Zhongyang's private chamber. "Elder Zhong, it has been a while," Tang Tian greeted politely. Elder Zhongyang looked up, a glimmer of an inscrutable meaning flashing in his eyes, before he smiled and said, "Ah, it is our young master Tang. You have certainly made quite an impression these past few days. Everyone is saying that a remarkable young noble has emerged within the sect. Please, have a seat," he urged. Tang Tian quickly replied, "In the presence of Elder Zhong, I dare not claim nobility." He then took a seat before the elder. Renting a secluded cultivation chamber is certainly not an act of modesty. How can it not be considered noble? Elder Zhongyang chuckled. "Here, we do not adhere to unnecessary humility. Speak plainly. What brings you here today?" Tang Tian, eschewing any pretense, expressed his intentions directly. "Attendance?" Elder Zhongyang raised an eyebrow, then smiled and asked, "Are you dissatisfied with the guardian I arranged for you?" After a brief pause, Tang Tian replied with a smile, "Speaking of which, I have yet to specifically thank Elder Zhong. I am exceedingly pleased with that guardian. She is truly obedient and well-behaved. She was able to meet all of my requests, regardless of the nature of the demands." Zhongyang narrowed his eyes and remarked, "Young man, I have only assigned you a single guard. As for certain matters, I trust you have some understanding of them." Tang Tian promptly replied, "Of course, thank you for the reminder, Elder Zhong." Zhongyang nodded and inquired, "If you are so satisfied, why then seek additional disciples?" Tang Tian smiled and answered, "No matter how content one may be, one can still grow weary. Moreover, she is merely at the golden core stage and quite young. Therefore, I wish to find a few disciples who possess greater strength and a more feminine charm." Zhongyang shook his head, gesturing towards Tang Tian. "Ah, you young people are so full of vigor, lacking any sense of restraint. However, there are not many constraints between disciples and their employers. Their actions are relatively free. If you wish to develop further, it will solely depend on your own efforts." Tang Tian nodded in agreement. "That is certainly the case." He then produced a box of local specialties and handed it to Zhongyang. Inside were 100 exquisite spirit jades. Zhongyang's face lit up with joy as he accepted the gifts, praising Tang Tian for his gratitude while attending to matters concerning the disciples. Tang Tian sat quietly, a gentle smile adorning his face. Yet, deep within, he understood that Zhongyang's decision to assign Gu Xiaoxue to him indeed carried ulterior motives. Through his observations, he realized that a child of innate talent within the Qingyue sect was already among the elite. Was Zhongyang unaware of Gu Xiaoxue's potential? Surely not. Therefore, his actions must harbor some secret unknown to others. To personally thrust a child of innate talent into the flames. It seemed that the Qingyue sect was not a place of benevolence after all. Perhaps, unbeknownst to him, he had already been ensnared in a tempest.